When I went astray in my cultivation and my dantian shattered, my most favored disciple not only didn't heal me but even took advantage of the situation. Master, you wouldn't want others to know you've lost your cultivation, would you? You ungrateful disciple. Just when I was helpless against this treacherous disciple, I suddenly awakened a system that benefits from being taken advantage of. As long as my disciple takes advantage of me, I grow stronger. Then my cultivation not only increased dramatically, but I even obtained the Ziyang Daodi of Yang Jigang, and surprisingly, I still have 7 such disciples. At this moment, on the bed, the 4th disciple, Situ, gently draped the sheer skirt that had fallen to the floor. Her pretty face flushed as she left a remark, "Master, I will take good care of you in the future." She then floated away. I struggled for a long time. I finally forced these few words out through gritted teeth. In the span of those 2 long hours, the wicked disciple had exhausted all means to torment himself, and because I couldn't endure the torture any longer, I confessed while frothing at the mouth. During that brief moment, I also came to understand my current predicament. It turns out I've time traveled. I become the big villain, the master of Zion Peak, in a fantasy novel. And as everyone knows, villains are stepping stones for the protagonists. In the upcoming plot, the protagonist will come to apprenticeship and be rejected by the original owner. Thus, he will harbor resentment. With the protection of the heavenly Tao and the help of the old man with the ring, along with the divine beast he picks up on the way, it took 2.5 years to achieve the return of the king. With one punch, he crushed the original host's spirit. The original host could have avoided this disaster. That was by getting along well with his 7 disciples. These 7 disciples are all powerful female leads with extraordinary luck, and they all secretly have feelings for the original host. But the original host, this foolish blockhead, was focused solely on cultivation. He broke his disciples' hearts. That's precisely why, in the end, when he died, no one claimed his body. Fortunately, the story hasn't started yet. I can think of a countermeasure in advance. Now, as long as I let my disciples take advantage of me more, not only will I grow stronger, it can also bring happiness to the disciples. This is undoubtedly the best path. And at this moment, the system voice sounded. Situ Qingqing gained pleasure through dual cultivation, triggered a 10,000 times critical hit, returned to Yang. What happens in the next moment? An unparalleled terrifying power washed over my limbs and bones. My cultivation began to surge instantaneously. Foundation establishment first layer. Foundation establishment second layer. It wasn't until I reached the 6th layer of foundation establishment that I barely stopped. I returned to foundation establishment from being a shattered waste. I stepped into the ranks of immortals, but this still doesn't feel very secure. So, in order to get some more benefit from the female lead, I headed to the Peach Blossom Pavilion on the other side of my 4th disciple, Situ Qingqing's cave. Situ Qingqing stared blankly at herself in the mirror. After a while, she snapped out of it. Suddenly, she covered her burning face. "I've confessed to Master." Just saying those words made her shy and collapse weakly onto the dressing table. He had long harbored audacious thoughts toward his master, but since his master was highly skilled, as a disciple, he could only keep those thoughts buried in his heart. However, just now, when he saw his master looking so frail and helpless, he couldn't help but act clumsily, driven purely by instinct. If not for the fact that his body felt like it was about to fall apart, he would have thought he was dreaming. Master must hate me to death now. Situ Qingqing is deeply annoyed. How did he lose his mind so suddenly? And I didn't perform well either. He recalled Master's furrowed brow just now. His heart was filled with guilt. If only he had done better. Maybe Master would hate him a little less. What should I do to remedy this? But first, I absolutely cannot let the senior sister know. With the senior sister's cultivation and her vengeful nature, she would be furious. If she finds out, I will definitely be doomed. So, Situ Qingqing planned to deceive the senior sister, Yuan Kuishui, and use the master's name to send her off to exterminate demons elsewhere, trying to delay the opponent's return to the sect. First, by some time, then think of other solutions. After making up his mind, he swiftly glanced at the white-robed lady in front of him. Soon, an image appeared in the void. At the same time, the place Yuan Ko was at, 30,000 miles south of Qingming sect. A demonic horse came here a few months ago. It not only ruled over warships and commanded demons, but even devoured several inner disciples of the Qingming sect. This angered the Qingming sect's upper echelon. Lu Feng issued a bounty mission against the demon together. The reward for the mission is extremely generous, including the accessory that my former self nurtured for years. As the eldest disciple, Yuan Koshwan was unwilling to let his master's prestigious sword fall into someone else's hands, so he took on this task. At this moment, Yuan Koshwan held a demon core in his hand. This demon core should suffice as a token. Then, with a light kick, the corpse of a giant serpent, tens of feet long, splashed into the water. His expression was neither sad nor joyful, as if he had just completed a trivial task, a case that has been ongoing for 2 days. It's time to go back, Yuan Kuoxian muttered to himself. Suddenly, there was a rustling at his waist. Seeing this, this, he raised an eyebrow. His icy face revealed a hint of anticipation. Then the jade scissors were placed in the air. Soon, the void rippled with waves. A mirror-like image formed in front of her. But when she saw that the person in the image was Situ Qingqing, Yuan Koushuan's brow furrowed slightly. The trace of expectation on her face quietly faded away, returning to an icy coldness. Xiaoqing, why are you looking for me? Situ Qingqing was already feeling guilty, and seeing the corpses strewn across the image only made it worse. My heart grew colder. Senior sister is too ruthless. She must have wiped out all of Yin Chaojin's spirits. I absolutely can't let anything slip, Situ Qingqing said blindly. Senior sister, I didn't come to find you. Master is looking for you. Master Yuan Koushian's expression slightly changed based on his understanding of his master. No matter the matter, his master always handles it personally, never relying on others. He also noticed that when Xiaoqing spoke, her gaze was evasive. Xiaoqing, do you remember why I punished you last time? Do you still recall? Upon hearing this, Situ Qingqing's expression changed slightly. Why did senior sister suddenly bring this up? The last time I punished you was because you accidentally broke master's favorite blue and white porcelain sword, but you blamed it on Yao Yao. Yuan Koushuan continued speaking on her own. At that time, I punished you and warned you that if it happened again, the punishment would double. It seems now, you didn't take my words to heart at all. Upon hearing this, Situ was slightly taken aback. That punishment had him bedridden for a full 7 days. Even now, thinking about it makes his rear end ache. I didn't lie to you this time. Master wants you to go to Fulong Mountain to retrieve that mountain lord's inner pill. It was truly my master who told me this. I swear, Situ Qingqing was flustered and spoke carelessly. As for senior sister Dai, he was absolutely terrified. If he truly admits he lied, then the consequences of double punishment are something his small frame cannot bear. Actually, he has realized as well. Senior sister's sword heart is immaculate. I must have lost my mind to resort to such a bad plan, but since the lie is already told, I can only stick to my story and deny everything. Yet Yuan Koushian's expression suddenly changed. Xiaoqing, have I ever told you that when you lie, your face turns especially red? As if you've just had a fierce fight with someone. You can't even see this? Situ Qingqing screamed inwardly. He now resembled a cat whose tail was stepped on. He could hardly speak smoothly. Senior sister, it's because. As Situ Qingqing racked his brain for a way to explain, a gentle voice from the master came from outside. Is Xiaoqing there? Why is master here? Situ Qingqing's face turned pale with fright. Right now, he really wanted to turn off the communication alert. Otherwise, if master ran into senior sister, everything he had done would be exposed. Given senior sister's personality, she would definitely rush back, sword in hand, to confront him. And at this moment, Situ Qingqing's change in expression was noticed by Yuan Koushuan. He became even more convinced that Xiaoqing was lying. What are you standing there for? Didn't you hear the master calling you? Senior sister Situ Qingqing forced a smile uglier than a frown. Master, Qinger is here. You may come in. Upon hearing that, I pushed the door open and entered. But I noticed that the disciple's condition at this moment was completely different from when I ate him before. His eyes were complicated. His lips seemed to want to say something but hesitated. It was as if someone was holding a sword to his throat. Suddenly, master's ethereal and pure voice came through. Only then did I notice the scene in the void. In the image, an ice-cold beauty was staring at him intently. Her fiery gaze contrasted sharply with her cool demeanor. It made my heart skip a beat. The senior disciple, Yuan Koushian, saw that Tong Ming possessed the pure sword heart. His personality was cold as an iceberg. Except for his master, he showed no emotion towards others, not even his junior sister. In the original story, almost all of his heart was devoted to the original main character. However, it was like his love was aimed at the unattainable moon. The bright moon shines on the ditch. Kindness repeatedly mistaken by the original owner as liver of a donkey. Fei Jinhui withdrew coldly from Ziyun Peak, eventually heading to the central state to travel. I looked at Yuan Koushian with a gentle smile. Xian air. As your master, I remember you weren't going to a social event? How do you have time to send messages with your fourth junior sister, Yu Jie? Hearing this, Yuan Koushian was taken aback. In the past, the master had never addressed him with such an intimate title. Could it be that the master? His earlobes turned slightly red. Reporting to the master, the disciple has already dealt with that wicked fish python. I was originally preparing to leave and return to the sect when Xiaoqing sent me a message saying that the master, you ordered your disciple to take care of that mountain lord on Fulong Mountain as well. At this moment, Situ Qingqing's face was pale. Her head suddenly buried deep in her chest. Hearing Yuan Koushuan's words, I raised my eyebrows. I looked at Situ Qingqing. At this, she buried her head even lower. She looked timid, like a quail. It's like a completely different person from that disgraceful seventh disciple before. I found it amusing. This scene is exactly like what was described in the novel. Situ Qingqing fears neither heaven nor earth, except her senior sister. Yuan Koushian is doomed. Situ Qingqing's body trembled slightly, shivering as she awaited the storm. Being expelled from the sect is the least of my worries. My fate will definitely be worse than that of the sea beast. But the scene I had anticipated did not occur. I simply smiled slightly. It was indeed the classical language I instructed. Situ Qingqing looked at me in confusion. confusion. She didn't understand why the master would cover for this wayward disciple, but now is not the time to dwell on such matters. He immediately turned to Yuan Koshwan, feeling wronged, and said, "Senior sister, did you hear that? It was master's orders. I didn't deceive you." Even though Yuan Koshwan knew there must be something fishy about this, he had always listened to master without question. When he heard master defend Xiao Chang, he didn't intend to dig deeper. Since master needs that inner core, I will go to Mount Fulong and retrieve it for you. Situ Qingqing was pleasantly surprised. She didn't expect that after so many twists and turns, her goal would ultimately be achieved. But unexpectedly, I waved my hand. "No need. I discovered that the ancient pill recipe was fake. Shinner, you'd better come back soon. I'd been quite concerned." Yen Ba's spirit stones for maintaining the Imperial inspection communication had been completely depleted. What did master just say? Missed me? Yuan Koxian sat dumbfounded on the rock. Only after a while did he come to his senses. A blush, like the peach blossoms of early spring, appeared on his fair cheeks, radiant and captivating. The air in the attic became quiet. Half-witted Situ Qingqing gently twirled a lock of her hair with her fingers. Shyly, she said, "Master, why did you cover for me?" I smiled, with a bit of mischief, and said, "Shinger, you wouldn't want your senior sister to know you betrayed your master, would you?" An hour later, I glanced at Situ Qingqing, pretending to sleep beside me. He had a strand of black hair caught between his lips. A faint smile played at the corners of his ears. There was a hint of weariness between his brows. He looked as if he'd been through torture. "Let's see if you dare to boast again next time." I reached into the warm bath and touched the horse, then rose from the bed. Situ Qingqing murmured, half asleep, half awake. The sound of clothes rustling reached his ears. He waited until the attic was completely silent. Only then did he dare to timidly open his eyes. "Has master really left?" He quietly glanced outside, only to see me walking in with a teapot. In a flash, his face was filled with panic. He shut his eyes and pretended to sleep again. "I saw you wake up." I came closer, spoke to him. Situ Qingqing got caught red-handed. Naturally, she couldn't keep pretending, but she didn't dare look at me. She had to turn her head away. Her eyelashes fluttered lightly. "Master, I'm not pretending to be asleep. I really feel faint. Although it sounds like I'm hiding the truth, I'm actually speaking the truth." Su Yang has truly been ruthless in his scheming. Situ Qingqing's naturally delicate body wouldn't be normal if she didn't faint, but it's a bit of a shame that, this time, I didn't manage to get anything. I suspect it's a problem with the posture, but I can't verify it again. I can only look for opportunities elsewhere. "It's unfortunate. I can tell your voice is hoarse. Come have some water." After drinking water, he suddenly muttered softly, "Master, I feel like you've become a different person. You used to be indifferent to the outside world, focused only on cultivating the Tao. As for us disciples, aside from guiding our cultivation, you showed no other concern. So, the feelings I have for you, Master, could only remain hidden in my heart." When the master encountered a mishap, I was momentarily overwhelmed by delusion. I couldn't resist betraying my teacher. "I thought for sure you despise me, but I didn't expect. Not only did you cover for me, you even took advantage of my situation. To be exact, I was the one who took advantage of you, master." C2 softly murmurs, muttering that it's not because I've changed, but because my cultivation was lacking, which caused my progress to stall. Then, after Chinger caused that scene, I came to realize something. Even though I sought to transcend worldly attachments, immortality is still hard to attain. This is the excuse I've long prepared in my mind. It's all to clear the doubts in the hearts of the disciples. Master, please don't think like that. You are the youngest nascent soul true lord of the Qingming sect. Even the Grand Elder said you have the potential to become a void-breaking venerable. But even if you break through to become a venerable, it would only last a few thousand years, commanded to impeach eternal life. I sighed deeply. Then his gaze became a bit strange. Shiner, could it be that you don't like the way I am now? If that's the case, then I'll just focus on guiding you in your tasks. I was about to leave. Seeing this, Situ Qingqing immediately panicked. She rushed forward and hugged me tightly, but I didn't manage to hold on. Directly pinned down by Situ Qingqing and punched. He is rubbing against me like a koala. The disciple likes the current master. Just don't know if the master likes it or not. It seems Chinger hasn't been taught a lesson enough. As a doer, I always act rather than talk. I grabbed Situ Qingqing by the waist and prepare to roll over. He was suddenly startled. No need for that, master. Chinger understands master's intentions. No, master. Please let Chinger off. Situ Qingqing said tearfully. In his current state, if this goes on, my whole body feels like it's falling apart. Seeing Situ Qingqing crafting jade, I thought to myself, this should cover everything up. Alright, I'm dismissing you. Why are you crying like a little child? I reached out to wipe the tears from his eyes, comforting him for a while. Situ Qingqing was still sobbing, tears streaming down her face. She was trembling as she leaned on my shoulder. The wisdom of the Yang Dao body truly lives up to its reputation. I just said something casually, and it scared the child like this. Chinger, if you stop crying, your master will give you something. Instantly, her sobbing came to a halt. Really? Situ Qingqing looked at me with full expectation. TSK. it actually works. I clicked my tongue in my heart. Just say it. What do you want? I want the jade pendant at my master's waist. Situ Qingqing had long been prepared. It's just a jade pendant. He just gave it to me. I checked the jade pendant. There's nothing special about it. Xian handed the jade pendant to him. Master really gave this jade pendant to me. Situ gently received the jade pendant like a treasured gift. His eyes lit up with emotion. Master once said, this jade pendant is the only thing his mother left him. It holds extraordinary significance. But my master gave this jade pendant to me. Could it be a token of love? It must be a token of love. Oh my god. Does my master like me that much? Master, I will surely treasure this jade pendant. Right after he hid the jade pendant, his expression suddenly became solemn. Master, I also want to give you my most precious thing. After saying this, he seriously took out an ancient jade sword. This is the incomplete heaven tier technique. The eternal young spirit scripture. Upon seeing this, I was shocked. The original owner ultimately perished because of this technique. I remember after the protagonist was expelled from the sect by the original owner during a late-night meeting, Situ Qingqing was misled by Xiao Ye's hypocrisy. Out of a desire to make up for her master's mistake, she painfully gave the incomplete Yangshan technique's cocoon to Xiao Ye. Xiao Ye himself possesses the Sunflame battle body, which is highly compatible with the Yangshan technique. When combined, the power they unleash exceeds all expectations, all within 250 moves. Relying on the Sun God technique, I can dominate everywhere. I have never faced defeat, and now this technique has fallen into my hands. In the next moment, I held Qingqing's soft, delicate hand. I said earnestly, Xinger, I promise you, as long as I am alive, this jade cocoon will not. Master, don't say such things. It's bad luck. Situ Qingqing raised her hand to cover my mouth. Ah, Xinger is so thoughtful. You should rest first. I'll come back tonight. Coming again tonight. Situ Qingqing was terrified, her face pale. Hey, Xinger, don't be afraid. Tonight, I'll just chat with you by candlelight. It'll only cost you a bit of conversation. Meanwhile, on the other side, Yuan Koshwan was socializing. The nearby main character, Xiao Yi, is earnestly crouched in a patch of grass. Old Grandpa Ring calculated that a noble person would appear here. So, he planned to come here to meet this noble person. Master, are you sure that the destined person will pass by here? Xiao Yi asked again. The ring emitted a bright light, and an ancient voice emerged. Of course, although I am left with just a wisp of my soul, if I calculate, your fortune is still quite easy for me to grasp. Moreover, he is not only your fated one, but also your destined romance. TSK. You really are quite fortunate, aren't you? This ring, old man, is from the Master of Leaving Fire, the former top expert of the Central Plains. Master, please don't punish your disciple. I haven't yet avenged my great enmity. How can I care about personal feelings now? Xiao Ye said with a serious expression. Hey, you brat. If it weren't for Elderly noticing a glint in Xiao Ye's eyes, he might have been fooled by this kid's innocent appearance. But he didn't expose him either. After all, as a strong person, one must have the supreme ambition to embrace beauty and dominate the world. At this moment, a sudden rush of breaking air sounds from afar. Here it comes, little eagle. It's up to you now. The late-night excitement surged through my mind. I hurriedly shouted to a purple little beast beside me. He had already made plans long ago. He plans to put on a show with Xiao Diao for the nobleman. That is, having Xiao Diao pretend to attack him. This will catch the nobleman's attention. The master calculated that the nobleman is someone who despises demons. If he sees a demon beast attacking, he will surely intervene to help, and that will be the moment he faints. Taking advantage of the situation to arouse the benefactor's sympathy and bring him back to the sect, to join the sect together. With his extraordinary talent, he will surely be able to join the Qingling sect with ease, and thus gain numerous opportunities. At this moment, he seems to have already envisioned his bright future. And at this time, Xiao Diao heard the master's call, and immediately prepared to respond. He let out a roar that echoed into the sky. This was to attract the noble's attention. Then, Xiao Diao bravely faced the wind, and in an instant, his form transformed into that of an adult demon bull. His expression was fierce, and his eyes glowed red. Salty liquid constantly dripped from the corner of its mouth. It was getting closer and closer to the midnight snack. If anyone else saw this scene, they would surely mistake the little statue for a starving beast, and the midnight snack would be the prey it had its eyes on. The little actor is quite good, Xiao Yi sincerely praised. Disciple, act seriously. Don't blow your cover. A stern rebuke followed. Hearing this, Xiao Yi's smile faded. His mind remained highly alert. The next moment, he snapped into character. He let out a fierce roar at Xiao Diao. Beast! You think you can devour me? Then he raised his sword and slashed at Xiao Diao. But Xiao Diao's eyes flashed with a murderous glint. The energy in his mouth gathered almost instantly, and a purple demonic flame shot out from his mouth. Bang! Xiaoya's face turned pale like gold, blood spilling from the corner of his mouth. Like a kite with a broken string, he flew backward toward the graceful figure in the air. Everything went exactly as planned. Xiaoyi was getting closer to Qianing. When he was only a few feet away, he clearly saw the noblewoman's face. She wore a black robe, as if the celestial goddess had descended from the heavens. Her cold, orchid-like aura inspired admiration. She was simply too beautiful. Xiaoyi swore, this is the most beautiful woman he's seen in his life. Even compared to his childhood friend, the long-vanished Yi Linger, she pales in comparison. No wonder Master said this is my disgust. Xiaoya reluctantly closed his eyes, preparing to follow the plan, pretending to faint. Meanwhile, Yuan Koshue. When I heard my master say he misses me, my heart raced wildly. I longed to see my master immediately. Unfortunately, my cultivation is insufficient. I cannot tear through space and traverse continents. I can only rely on my sword technique to rush forward. Along the way, the great demons were frightened and kept their distance from my overflowing spiritual energy. But just as he was passing through a desolate forest, a figure suddenly flew toward him, blocking his path, blocking his way. In an instant, a cold glint appeared in Yuanko's dark eyes. Those who block my path. He pointed a finger at Xiaoyi, and a sword 3 feet long whistled out, slicing through the air. It was as if the sky itself was torn apart at that moment. Boom! Under this terrifying sword force, the entire forest split open like a cage overturning, forming massive cracks. The surging sword energy rolled toward Xiaoyi like a tidal wave. At this moment, Xiaoyi, with his eyes closed, suddenly stiffened. Master, something's wrong. This sword seems to be aimed at me. Disciple, this sword is indeed meant to cut you. Li's lips curled with bitterness. Master, you betrayed me. Xiaoyi watched the sword energy slash toward him. He was terrified to the extreme. Shrouded by this sword energy, he felt like an ant crushed without mercy. He couldn't resist at all. Master, please save me. Xiaoyi roared wildly in his heart. Don't worry. We are master and disciple. I will definitely not stand by and watch you die. The old voice was filled with sighs and confusion. Hearing this, Xiaoyi finally closed his eyes in relief. He completely fainted under the sword energy. It was unclear how long it had been. A wretched figure crawled out of the deep pit. Faintly visible, a few strips of cloth hung from their body. Their entire body was covered in blood. Some bones were even exposed. They looked extremely pitiful. Hey, midnight snack. They coughed violently a couple of times, and even coughed up pieces of their own organs. I actually survived. He lay on the ground, tears streaming down his face. But after a while, he suddenly remembered his spirit pet. So he hurriedly called out, Little Eagle, where are you? The little eagle was something he had found as a child in an abandoned cave. After years of companionship, the two of them had long since become like family. At this moment, a mournful cry came from the deep pit. Hearing this, Xiaoya's face lit up with joy. Ignoring his own injuries, he once again jumped into the pit. When he saw the barely breathing little eagle, he held it in his arms with a pained expression. Little eagle, you're still alive. I'm so happy. The little sculpture was also very touched. He didn't expect that at such a time, his master would still think of him. Immediately, they embraced each other, crying bitterly. It took a long time for them to calm down. At that moment, Xiaoyi was stroking the little sculpture's head, muttering that the urgent task was to find a place to heal. He would also collect some spiritual objects to nourish the soul and awaken his master. In his eyes, master must have exhausted his soul power to protect him. At this moment, he must be in a deep coma. But to his surprise, a weak voice came from the ring. Hi, disciple, you still think of your master. Your master is very gratified. Master, you haven't fallen asleep after all. The late night snack was thrilling. After all, without the master, he would be just an ordinary person. He would never escape the pursuit of his enemies. That girl nearly amazed me with her talent in swordsmanship. If it weren't for this ring absorbing some of the sword energy, I would have really fallen into a deep sleep. Not long after, Old Li felt lingering fear. As he heard this, a graceful figure appeared in his mind. Even though that woman indiscriminately drew her sword to attack him, he didn't feel the slightest desire for revenge. After all, only a wild and untamed woman like her was worth his efforts to conquer. Master Lei, didn't you say he was my benefactor? Why did he suddenly draw his sword to attack me? Has he seen through our plan? You're asking me, but who should I ask? Even Master Li is confused. Everything was calculated perfectly. The signs from heaven indicated it to him this way. So how could it suddenly turn into an unexpected situation? I suspect it might be because that woman was in a bad mood. Guessing the midnight snack raises the pitch. Hey, disciple, don't worry about these details. Master Mi blushed. He's deeply versed in mysteries. Using the word guess does indeed tarnish his status. To regain the disciple's trust, he hurriedly tried to remedy the situation, saying his soul power had recovered somewhat, enough to give you another reading. Master Xiaoyi was deeply moved. He had once resented the master for secretly absorbing his cultivation without permission, but after spending so much time together, he realized the master treated him with great sincerity. Even though this time, the master had miscalculated the heavenly secrets, which caused him to be seriously injured, yet he still chose to trust his master. Xiaoyi waited patiently for a while. Finally, Old Li's voice came from the ring. Disciple, I've calculated for you. Your opportunity lies in Qianyuan City. Old Li's voice grew weaker, faint and barely audible. It's like he's been drained. Where is Qianyuan City? Xiaoya, boost your spirits. He wants to regain the territory he lost. Near Qingming sect. Old Taoist Li heard this. Xiaoye was stunned. Qianyuan City is under the jurisdiction of Qingming sect. He's like someone who's been bitten by a snake. At this moment, awkwardly still feeling uneasy. But when Li Lao saw his expression, he immediately asked sternly, "Disciple, are you afraid?" "Master, I didn't have a late-night snack," he replied stubbornly. "As a cultivator, you need to have the right attitude towards crises. Crisis. With danger comes opportunity. Take this time for example. Even though you were seriously injured, didn't you feel that your meridians have expanded significantly? Even the speed at which you absorb spiritual energy has increased." Li Lao's voice echoed through Xiaoya's heart like a thunderous downpour. Hearing this, Xiaoya immediately checked himself. He discovered that the situation was exactly as Elder Li had said. As long as his injuries heal, his combat strength will take a qualitative leap. "Master, you are right," he said. "I've learned my lesson." Xiaoya adjusted his mindset. Only then did Elder Li breathe a sigh of relief. He knows very well that Xiaoyi is timid and afraid of difficulties. If he doesn't give him some incentives from time to time, even if it's just a bit of motivational talk, it's hard to keep him practicing diligently. But at this moment, Xiaoyi seems like he's on stimulants. "Disciple, you may now head to the support field." "Disciple, it's not necessary." Li Lao hadn't finished speaking, was interrupted by Xiaoye. "Master, there's no need to say more. We cultivators defy the heavens for our fate. How can we waste time here?" After speaking, he lowered his head to look at the small eagle. The meaning was clear, but at this moment, the small eagle let out a pained whine. Seeing this, Old Li felt a bit awkward. This adrenaline rush seems a bit over the top. The next morning, at the other side, in the Peach Blossom Pavilion, Situ Qingqing sat tiredly by the bed. "Master, your disciple's mouth is dry. It feels like smoke is coming out." "Sorry, that was my oversight as your master." I hurriedly handed the teacup to the red lips. After gulping down the tea in one go, his hoarse voice improved somewhat. Then he pitifully said, "Master, I'm afraid Qinger is done for." Remembering what happened last night, I felt a bit awkward. What nonsense is Qinger saying? You should take care of your health first. I will be in seclusion for cultivation tonight. What I mean is that at least tonight, he won't be coming to drink with you. After saying this, I turned and left, watching my master leave. Situ Qingqing was utterly baffled. Clearly, my master is not a body cultivator, but without any cultivation, how could his physique be so terrifying? A grand hall towering above. I began to ponder quietly. In the original work, the protagonist should have already met Yuan Koxuan. It's even possible they are already on their way to the Qingming sect. Now I have already taken down Situ Qingqing. This also means that I've stolen the protagonist's greatest opportunity. If he could sense that his luck was being taken, that would be amazing. Watching him jump in frustration, just thinking about it makes me happy. Yet another day passes. Xiaoya finally arrived at Qianyuan City on his little eagle. But at this moment, a female cultivator riding a spirit beast walked up to him. With a cold expression, she handed him a pill, then gave him a strange look, and left without a word. Xiaoyi excitedly said, "Master, did you see that? Your disciple doesn't rely on looks, yet I can still win the favor of women. This pill is strong proof. This foolish disciple, they're not being favored at all. It's clearly because that little brat was frothing at the mouth. They are also a beast master. They really couldn't stand seeing someone abuse their spirit pet. That's why they came over to give a healing pill for spirit pets. Didn't you notice the look in their eyes at the end? It's clearly contempt and pity. The pity is for Xiao Diao, and the contempt is for you." Even Old Li doesn't have the strength to comment anymore. His apprentice, aside from a mysterious sense of confidence at times, is otherwise fine. So Old Li didn't plan to discourage him. He tactfully said, "Yes, that woman is incredibly thoughtful. When she saw Xiao Diao faint, she gave this longevity pill to you, my disciple." Xiao Diao fainted. Xiaoya quickly turned to look at Xiao Diao behind him, and saw foam at the corner of its mouth. Its breath was incredibly weak. He hurriedly fed the pill to Xiao Diao. Beast Origin pill is truly an essential elixir for beast masters. It has excellent healing effects for spirit pets. After feeding it for a while, the little eagle woke up. It looked at the anxious midnight snack in front of it, and let out a soft cry. Then it nuzzled midnight snack's palm, to indicate that it was fine. "Tell Xiaoyi not to worry about him. Xiao Diao, you scared me to death. Please don't do this again next time. For your sake, I even painfully fed you the longevity pill that the female cultivator gave me." Seeing his disciple so useless, Old Li almost wanted to slap him awake, to make him come to his senses. Xiao Diao is a natural born. If it falls into the hands of other beast masters, don't mention just one beast origin pill, even if there were thousands or tens of thousands, so what? As long as the little ferret's realm improves, it could truly exist as a genuine divine beast. Of course, the little ferret is also foolish. When Xiaoyi said this, he actually believed it. It even used its head to affectionately rub his palm. Upon seeing this scene, Old Li felt a stifling breath in his chest. "Disciple, quickly head into the city. It's so lively outside the city, something big must have happened. It's probably related to your destiny. Inside an inn in Qianyuan City, Xiaoyi found an empty seat and sat down. The waiter brought 2 plates of snacks and a pot of clear wine. Alright, sir, please wait a moment. At that moment, the sounds of intense discussion among the practitioners could be heard around. I heard that the Xian Peak, one of the 6 veins of the Qingming sect, is once again recruiting disciples after 5 years. The Wind Master of Xian Peak, Su Yang, is the youngest nascent soul true monarch in the entire Qingming sect, and even in our whole northern province. If one could become his disciple and receive his guidance, that would be an incredible opportunity. Upon hearing this, Xiaoyi immediately sent a voice transmission through the ring, saying, Master, the opportunity you mentioned isn't tied to this Wind Master of Ziyun Peak, is it? Ai Lao hesitated for a moment. Indeed, your opportunity is tied to Ziyun Peak, but it's not on that Su Yang. Rumors are that late-night disturbances are unpredictable. Since that's the case, if you go to Ziyun Peak seeking fortune, and Su Yang is the master of Ziyun Peak, he surely won't just stand by and watch me take the opportunity, right? He might even try to stop me. You're right, disciple. I have calculated it. That Su Yang is your destined calamity. A sharp cracking sound. The wine glass in Xiaoya's hand shattered. Master, since you knew Su Yang was my destined calamity, why did you still send me to Qianyuan Dynasty? Could it be that you think your disciple is mediocre? Do you want to send me into the tiger's den to be cut down by Su Yang's sword? Then you and Su Yang are having a late-night snack. In a moment of desperation, he has lost his senses. He completely forgot that if it weren't for Li Hua's protection, he would have already been pursued by his enemies. How could he still have the chance to sit here, eating and drinking heartily? Li is speechless. This guy is just too timid and afraid of trouble. Just hearing the name of a nascent soul true monarch scared him like this. He really doubts that when the heavenly secrets are revealed, something might have gone wrong. Otherwise, how could the prophecy point to this timid and cowardly person as the heaven's chosen child born of jade? Old Li, why aren't you speaking? Could it be I guessed right? You're feeling guilty? Xiaoya's tone was hysterical. Of course, do you even need to guess? If there was really a choice, I would definitely choose Su Yang. He's a nascent soul true lord. What resources couldn't he find? I'd probably be able to restore my soul instantly. But unfortunately, once you're on this pirate ship, there's no getting off. He can only sigh in frustration. He calmly said, how could you think of me like that? All these years, have I ever deceived you once? Upon hearing this, Xiaoyi fell silent. In fact, he knew very well that Li Lao could never deceive him, because he and Li Lao shared a symbiotic relationship. Only if he became stronger, only Li Lao could reincarnate his physical body. But that's a nascent soul true lord. I'm just a mere foundation establishment cultivator. How could I possibly contend with him? With just a flick of his finger, he could crush me to death. Master, I'm just a little afraid. Trying to seize an opportunity from his hands is no different from pulling a tooth from a tiger's mouth. I carry a deep grudge of blood. I dare not risk my life recklessly. I beg for your forgiveness, Master. You're too formal saying that. Your apology is sincere. You have a kind heart. I know that well. What you said to me just now, I didn't take it to heart at all. Li was speaking from the heart. I don't hold grudges. Seeing that Li forgave him, Xiaoya breathed a sigh of relief. Then he proposed to leave Qianyuan City first. After his cultivation improves and he reaches the divine transformation realm, he would go to Ziyun Peak. Anyway, the opportunity is right there. It's not going anywhere. But when Old Li heard this, he was furious at the wasted potential. Opportunities in the world are limited. If you don't seize it, someone else will take it. You are destined by the heavens. With the protection of heaven's will, why do you always want to hide when trouble comes? Disciple, you don't need to be so cautious. I've calculated it. Although Su Yang is your destined calamity, fortune and misfortune are intertwined. His 7 female disciples are where your opportunity lies. I just overheard the cultivators in the main hall saying that Su Yang's female disciples are all world-class beauties. Among them, there's even a fox girl from Tushan. Of course, I'm just saying, if you're determined to leave, I won't stop you. Old Li has no choice. He can only use childish seduction. After all, this guy is daringly lustful. The reason their entire family was exterminated was also because he had an affair with someone else's wife. As expected, the midnight snack was swayed. What kind of old monster actually took in 7 stunning female disciples? He must have malicious intentions. He treats those women as his personal servants. Just thinking about those poor women who are now in dire straits, my heart aches faintly. I have made my decision. Even if Ziyun Peak is a den of dragons and tigers, I must go there. I will rescue these women from Su Laoma's grasp. I have an irreconcilable feud with Su Laoma. We are sworn enemies. The late-night conversation was sharp-tongued, upright and righteous, completely shed the image of weakness from before. At this moment, on the other side, Qingming Sect's Ziyun Peak is undergoing a great change. A graceful figure rides a sword coming from the horizon, swiftly landing in front of the hall. Master, I'm back. Yuan Koshwan's longing for her master is about to overflow from her heart. She jumps down from the sword. He didn't even bother to sheath his sword. Clutching the ring, he hurried into the main hall. His clothes fluttered wildly. It was heavy. Shushu respectfully expected him to enter the hall with anticipation, but he didn't find Shizuan's figure. Could he be in the back hall? Yuanqua's dark eyes suddenly flashed. The rear hall is the private living quarters of his master. It's quite private. All these years, he has strictly adhered to the rules of a disciple. He has never set foot inside, not even once. Now, as he looks at the tightly closed door before him, he hesitates slightly. Then he grits his teeth. The fourth generation made a certain resolution. I only came to seek my master. It was not my intention to pry into my master's privacy. After pushing the door open, he lowered his head and obediently walked in. Disciple Su Xian has come to see you, master. But before he could finish speaking, he looked around in a daze. Not a single person in sight. Where did master go? He looked around the room in confusion, sniffing occasionally, as if doing so could reveal some clues. The room was simple, and it smelled nice. Clearly, it suited him well. Suddenly, his gaze became focused. His eyes fell on the robe on the bed. It seemed to be the one his master had just taken off. I am the disciple. Washing my master's robe is part of my duty. Yuan Koshwan didn't even hesitate. He stepped forward and took the robe in hand. But the moment he picked it up, he became a little curious. What's the difference between men's and women's underwear? Since he was a woman, he naturally knew what his looked like. There were straps on top that could be tied around the neck. If they could hang, that was fine too. If not, he just wouldn't tie them. There are also two straps at the waist. These must be tied. Otherwise, it will fall off. The bottom part forms an inverted triangle. As for the round buckle of master's robe, bring it up close to examine carefully. It's perfectly square. It doesn't look particularly special. Then he brought it up to his nose and sniffed. It was the scent of his master. Yuan Koxian's face turned slightly red. He hurriedly stuffed the robe into his storage ring. Then, like a guilty thief, he quickly ran out of the rear hall. Since his master wasn't in the main hall, he's probably with Qinger. After all, his master often visited her. Only when instructing his disciples does he leave the main hall. But now, on the entire Ziyun Peak, only C2 Qingqing, the fourth disciple, follows him closely. He then heads to C2 Qingqing's residence. Just as he arrives outside the Peach Blossom Pavilion, he hears the voice of his master. Delighted, he lifts his leg to enter the pavilion and meet his master. But upon closer listening, it didn't quite sound right. Master, I really followed what was written in the book. I didn't come up with anything on my own. Dear, blindly trusting books is worse than having no books. Forget it, forget it. I'll just teach you personally. Yuan Koshwan heard the helpless tone in her master's voice. His brows slightly furrowed. He muttered to himself, Xiaoqing, when did you become so foolish? You're actually practicing by the book, so rigidly. Luckily, the master has a good temper. If it were any other wind master, you would have been punished long ago. Just as he finished speaking, a sharp, crisp sound came from the attic. Amid it was Xiaoqing sobbing and whimpering. Xiaoqing is just too clumsy. Master has such a good temper. Yet she still managed to upset him. Ran Koxian kept listening to the commotion inside. He originally intended to go in and greet his master. But now, let's wait until master cools down before talking. I don't know how much time passed, but finally, there was no more sound inside. It's over now. At this moment, master let out a satisfied sigh from the attic. Qinger, I personally demonstrated for you. You should have learned it by now. Your disciple is foolish. I still don't quite understand. I will teach you again next time. Then a faint sound came from the attic, followed by the sound of footsteps approaching. Bang, bang, bang. Yuan Koshwan quickly straightened his back. I saw him leaning against the wall, coming out of the attic. He was extremely excited. He immediately stepped forward to support my arm. Master, please don't be angry. Getting too worked up is bad for your health. As for the fourth junior sister, I will make sure to teach her well when I turn back. Look how angry master is. It's even hurting your waist. I was startled by the sudden appearance of Yuan Kuxian. Fortunately, I remained as steady as a mountain. I didn't reveal any flaws. I glanced at the attic. I said aloud, Xianer, you don't need to worry about yourself. The experience I just taught your fourth senior sister should be enough for him to comprehend for many days now. Yes, master. Yuan Kuxian suddenly felt a bit sorry for fourth senior sister. Not only did she anger the master, I even got grounded by my master. Xianer, when did you come back? Hearing this, Xian's cheeks turned slightly red. I just returned to Ziyun Peak and rushed straight here. I've been listening at the door for a while because master was punishing the fourth junior sister, so I didn't dare interrupt recklessly, just waiting at the door. Hearing this, I almost broke out in a cold sweat. I just played Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon with Qinger for a good while, and this big disciple actually listened the whole time. What is this? Fortunately, this big disciple is pure-hearted and didn't think of anything else. But to prevent him from discovering the secret in the attic, I quickly changed the subject. Hey, just keep studying. Lose the purple cloud hall. Yes, master. Yuan Koshwan lowered her head and responded. Meanwhile, in the attic, phew, he finally left. C2 Qingqing took a deep breath after surviving the ordeal. He just heard the senior sister's voice. He didn't dare to make a sound. He was afraid that if he was not careful, the senior sister would come in to check. At this moment, the attic was filled with torn clothes. But that wasn't the main issue. He specially found a trick from his hidden books to deal with the master. I thought I would just follow the example. I didn't expect to almost cause trouble with good intentions. I even ended up injuring my master's waist. Later, my master taught me step by step. I still learned it, but my backside is a bit sore. What kind of move is this? It's really harmful. C2 Ching frowned slightly. She hummed softly and took out the book, and was about to tear it apart, but suddenly remembered that her master seemed to enjoy it earlier. She hesitated, and put the book back away. Meanwhile, in the Ziyun Hall, Yuan Koxian noticed that my cultivation had quietly regressed. He asked with concern about the reason, and I smiled as I explained, saying it was due to losing control while cultivating. Fortunately, your junior sister Ching noticed in time, and my condition improved. Upon hearing this, Yuan Koxian felt his heart soften. Normally, Xiaoqing seems unreliable, but it was still useful at a critical moment. It seems I should treat Xiaoqing a little better in the future. Right, next time you should call me sister-in-law's sister. Then I asked him about the main character's late-night snack. After all, in the original work, he was taken back to the sect by Yuan Koxian. By the way, let me ask you, did you encounter anything on your way back? Master, disciple, I haven't encountered anything. Oh right, the Taoist had a little setback. While I was passing through a mountain ridge, someone suddenly flew in front of me, blocking my path. Then I urgently asked, the plot hasn't changed. Why is the protagonist missing? Master is so concerned about me. Yuan Koxuan's heart was racing. With a blush on her face, she replied, disciple found him annoying, so I gave him a strike. He should be dead by now, right? So it was the protagonist's body. Then it's nothing. At this moment, my emotions are all over the place, but the protagonist shouldn't die that easily, right? The old man with the ring is protecting him. At most, he'll end up half dead. Seeing me suddenly go silent, Yuan Koxian feels uneasy. Could that person know the master? If I kill him with my sword, won't I anger the master? While he was lost in thought, I spoke up, Xian, after you cut that person down, did you give him a finishing blow? Yuan Koxian was momentarily stunned. Shaking his head, the disciple thought of returning quickly to pay respects to the master, so he didn't deliver the final blow. A kill is not finished without a final blow. The spring breeze brings new life. I spoke earnestly to Xian. In the future, before you act, remember these 2 points. Crush the bones and scatter the ashes, and eliminate the roots. Otherwise, things might change drastically over 30 years. You defeat the young one, and the old one comes. How can you find peace to cultivate? Disciple will remember master's teachings. Yuan Koxian lowered his little head. Although he was lectured by his master, he still felt a bit happy inside. After all, this is also to ensure that he can rest in peace. So he decided to send that person's portrait to all the junior sisters' jade slips later. Once they see it, they'll kill the misconceptions. Master, your disciple almost forgot one thing. Yuan Koxian looked up at me, but the disciple won't say it yet. Please close your eyes first. You can only open your eyes when I tell you to. He spoke with a hint of playfulness in his tone. Alright, I'll listen to you. A barely noticeable smile flashed in my eyes. I already know what my eldest disciple is going to do. In the original story, Yuan Koxian eagerly offered his personal accessory to Su Yang. He had hoped Su Yang would praise him a little, but Su Yang poured cold water on him, scolded him for being shameless. How dare he compete with other disciples for fame and profit? The sword was meant to be a reward for other deserving disciples of the clan, but now, he took it back. He utterly disgraced me as his master. After insulting him, he threw the sword harshly onto the ground. Then he stormed off in anger, leaving Yuan Koxian kneeling there, completely at a loss, his face streaked with tears. That Su Yang is just not human. He showed such filial piety. Not only did he not praise him, he even insulted him. No wonder his body was possessed by the blue star demon. And this good disciple will be cherished by me? At this moment, Yuan Koxian anxiously took out his sword. Master, you can open your eyes now. His voice trembled with nervousness. Hearing this, I opened my eyes. The moment I saw the close-fitting sword, I immediately showed an expression of surprise and joy. My throat feels tight. I can't suppress my excitement. Schwer, this is Master's Zixiao. It is supposed to be your personal sword. Disciple believes that in this Qingming, no one but you is qualified to wield this sword. Schwer, you're thoughtful. I'll accept Zixiao. Flicked the sword blade. Gifted by Yuan Koxian, the host receives the sword energy. Zixiao triggers a 10,000-fold critical hit. Returns to Qixao. Suddenly, a system prompt sounded in my ear. Seeing this, I felt joy. I immediately checked the introduction of Qixao. Although Qixao and Zixiao differ by only one character, there is no comparison between the two. Qixao is the personal accessory of the founding emperor of the Qin dynasty. After being nurtured by the dragon vein for 10,000 years, its rank surpasses that of the heavenly tier. It is a true divine weapon. Then, a thought crossed my mind, and I came up with a good idea. Shinner, I appreciate your intentions. However, I have decided to start anew. I no longer wish to linger on the path of swordsmanship. If Zixiao continues to follow me, I'm afraid he will be held back. So, I'm giving Zixiao to you. With a natural sword heart, he will surely go further on the path of swordsmanship. The round button is off. The suburban area trembles slightly. When you lift your head, your eyes shine brilliantly. Why are you unwilling? If you don't want it, I will force it upon you. Saying this, I solemnly placed the purple sky in his hands. The disciple is willing. unwilling. He tightly grasped the Zixiao sword, as if holding onto a peerless treasure. At that moment, the Zixiao sword slightly trembled, conveying a hint of joyful emotion. This new master also pleased it greatly. Then I suggested we take a break. When Yan Yuanko Xian happily left, holding the sword. However, as soon as I returned to the back hall, I immediately sensed something was off. Why is this main door open? Could a thief have broken in? I stepped inside, cautiously scanning the surroundings, but after looking around, I found nothing was missing. Just as I sat down on the bed, my eyes sharpened. The robe I dirted a few days ago while sparring with Xiaoqing. I had taken it off and tossed it on the bed, but now it had vanished. Who did it? I first ruled out a clothes thief. It was Sidong Qingqing. These past few days, Xiaoqing has been exhausted from my training. How could she have any time to sneak in and steal something? Yuan Koxuan's cold, ethereal appearance floats in my mind. Right now, in my mind, I really don't want to associate this with my eldest disciple, and I also feel like this isn't something the eldest disciple could do. But in mystery novels, the most unlikely person is often the real culprit. So the truth is that the perverted female thief is Xianer. As for how to confirm it, in mystery novels, there's a rule that the perpetrator always likes to return to the crime scene, so Xianer will definitely come back. I immediately decided to stay alert during tonight's cultivation, but what I didn't expect was that I would catch 2 big fish tonight. At this moment, as soon as Yuan Ko Xian left Ziyun Hall, he relayed the news about the master's gift to Zixiao to several junior sisters. After all, only in this way they will only understand that in the master's heart, this senior sister carries the most weight. Moments later, a flash of spirit light flickers. Ruan Yuer has already blocked you. Following that, several flashes of spirit light appear. Su Jihu has already muted you. Shui Jingli has already muted you. Tu Shan Yao Yao has blocked you. Looking at the reactions of a few junior sisters, Yuan Ko Xian's face showed a hint of excitement. The junior sisters seemed to say nothing, but they had said everything. Silly junior sisters, have you forgotten there's still a group chat? Then he took out a recording stone. Then transmit the appearance of the target. If you encounter this person, eliminate them on sight. Confirm after finishing the target. Qin Qian, confirmed. Su Jihu, confirmed. Situ Qingqing, confirmed. In the blink of an eye, the night is calm and serene. The lights in Ziyun Hall are gradually dimming. Yuan Kuoxian sneaked in quietly. When he was a bit distant from the back hall, he stopped in his tracks. He listened intently. He found only faint breathing sounds. Great, master is already asleep. Ever since he stole the master's stolen goods, as soon as he returned home, he was tormented inside. After an internal struggle, he decided, before the master discovered it, to return the stolen goods exactly as they were. At this moment, he rushed to the door. Staring at the slightly ajar door, he crouched down slightly. The curve of his waist and hips instantly tightened. Finally, the moon looked even more voluptuous. He saw his master sleeping on his side, facing him directly. A cascade of ink-black hair spilled freely, slightly covering his long, winding eyebrows like distant mountains. His nose stood tall and straight. Her delicate features seemed crafted by the heavens. Such breathtaking beauty captivated Yuan Koxuan completely. He couldn't move his gaze even an inch. If he weren't afraid of waking his master, he would have been drooling by now. He wanted to capture this moment with a memory stone, so that in the lonely, restless nights to come, he could find some comfort in watching it. Yeah, why not use the reflection wall to record it? After all, I have no improper thoughts toward my master. Completely innocent. Why be so restrained about it? Yuan Ko Xian convinced himself, then took out the reflection wall. But just as he was about to use it, he heard a faint sound of footsteps behind him. Yuan Koxuan suddenly turned his head and saw a woman standing not far behind him. The woman seemed to have made a sound in her haste when she turned around after realizing he had spotted her. Xiao Chang, Yuan Koxuan recognized her by her backside. Cici, senior sister. Situ Qingqing awkwardly turned around and put her hands behind her back. It seems like there's something hidden. He noticed Situ Qingqing's actions. His eyes turned cold. He was about to ask. Seeing this, Situ Qingqing became flustered. Out of the corner of his eye, he caught a glimpse of the memory wall in Yuan Koxuan's hand. He quickly decided to speak first. Junior sister, what are you doing with the memory wall? You weren't trying to secretly take a picture of our master, were you? Stop talking nonsense. I would never. I was just holding it and fiddling with it. Yuan Koxuan was exposed by Situ Qingqing's remark. His pale cheeks instantly flushed red, but he couldn't admit it. Fiddling with it? Who'd believe that? Situ Qingqing doesn't believe it at all. He's not a 3-year-old child. He pouted, ready to expose the senior sister's bluff in front of the great hall. In an instant, a cold light flashed. A sharp breeze unsheathed. The sword's edge rested against Situ Qingqing's neck. Do you believe it now? It must be a game. Situ Qingqing nodded vigorously. Seeing this, Ko Xian withdrew the Zixiao sword. Then he asked, why are you here? I'm here to train with my master. Situ Qingqing answered, still shaken. She replied truthfully, practicing dual cultivation is still training, isn't it? You've gotten diligent. It seems the master's teachings during the day were useful to you, Yuan Ko said with satisfaction. Then, senior sister, why have you come here so late at night? He cleared his throat and put on a cold demeanor. I'm here to do a patrol. Now that the master's cultivation has declined, I'm worried someone might take advantage of it. Did you see any suspicious people when you came? I didn't see any suspicious individuals, but I did see the senior sister peeking through the door with her but sticking out. That said, the senior sister is quite perky. She has a round shape like a watermelon. It's quite suitable for practicing the technique in his hands. There was nothing normal about the whole situation. The senior sister is overthinking. Outsiders don't know that the master's realm has fallen. Besides, my Xian peak is one of the 6 veins of the Qingning sect. We have a good reputation. Even 100 times the courage of a thief wouldn't dare to offend us. Situ replied gently. He managed to conceal his knowledge. Yuan Koxian let out a sigh of relief. Master has already gone to sleep. You should come back tomorrow to practice with Master. Situ Qingqing also realized it wasn't a good time to seek out Master for practice. She immediately clasped her hands. Understood, senior sister. Yan Ba turned and started to leave, but after taking a few steps, he noticed that senior sister was still standing there. He turned to look at Yuan Koxuan. Senior sister, aren't you leaving? Yuan Koxuan felt a bit annoyed. If I tell you to leave, just leave. Why do you care about me? I'm leaving too, to avoid Situ Qingqing's business. Yuan Koxuan stepped forward and left alongside Xiao Chang. Hey, senior sister, is that Zishu you're wearing? Situ tilted her head slightly and asked. Yes. I originally wanted to return Zishu to my master, but the master said he wasn't around. He said he'd wasted time on the way of the sword and that I was the most suited among the disciples. So he gave Zishu to me. His tone seemed calm, but it carried an unmistakable hint of pride. He thought for sure that Xiao Qing would envy him, but to his surprise, Situ Qingqing sincerely said, I think the master is right. Senior sister, your sword heart is pure. You were born to be a sword cultivator. Zishu following you would not be a loss at all. It's just Zishu. How could it compare to the family heirloom jade pendant that his master gave him? This is what Situ Qingqing truly thinks. It's just not appropriate to show off. Otherwise, with senior sister's domineering and headstrong nature, if he took it out, she'd definitely snatch it away. By then, he wouldn't even have a place to cry. This doesn't match Xiao Qing's character at all. Whenever the master gives any treasure to another junior sister, once Xiao Qing finds out, she would definitely be jealous and throw a tantrum on the spot. So, what's really going on? Why is Xiao Qing acting like a completely different person? Yuan Koxian is utterly baffled. Senior sister, I'll be going ahead now. After the two arrived at a crossroads, Situ spoke softly. Go on. Get some rest when you get back, Yuan Koxuan reminded. Not sure how long had passed, the night grew deeper. At the crossroads, Yuan Koxuan cautiously stepped out. He had been hiding in the grass nearby, waiting. He waited until the footsteps on the other path completely faded away. Only then did he come out. No matter what, the stolen goods must be returned today. He made up his mind. Then he flew towards the Xian Palace. Shortly after Yuan Koxuan left, from another small path, Situ Qingqing also walked out. He rubbed his eyebrows and his butt. It was already a bit sore. Now that he had squatted for so long, it hurt even more. Master sister, what exactly do you want to do? Then he quietly followed behind. Meanwhile, the other shop owner. I opened my eyes at that moment. She didn't take the bait. I pretended to sleep for so long, but I didn't hear a single sound. Could I have been mistaken? Or is the crazy female thief planning to keep it for herself? Just as I was wondering, hurried footsteps echoed from outside the door. Here they come. I smiled, closed my eyes. The perverted female thief gently pushed the door open. Good. Nothing unusual. Master didn't set any traps in the room despite his fall in cultivation. He quietly approached the bed. After taking out the dirty object, he intended to throw it under the bed. But when he saw the half-fallen blanket on the floor, he thought, Master will catch a cold if the blanket isn't fixed. He used the chance of covering the blanket to lean closer. As he pulled the blanket up, he couldn't take his eyes off that handsome face. But as he watched, he couldn't help but take action. He reached out his hand to brush across her face. However, outside, Situ Qingqing saw her senior sister about to make a move. He could no longer hold back. In one swift motion, he dashed inside. He intercepted Yuan Koxuan, and Yuan Koxuan was caught red-handed on the spot. Shame and frustration surged in her eyes. He stammered, explaining that he saw the master's blanket had fallen. I just helped pick it up for him. Ha! Situ gave a soft, cold snort. She snatched the dirty object from Yuan Koxuan's hand. Then what is this? Senior sister, please don't tell me that you also picked this up from the ground. I saw it clearly. You pulled this out from your chest. It was Yuan Koxian who completely lost his composure. Well done, senior sister. I never expected you to harbor improper thoughts toward our master. Yuan Koxian's face flushed red. He was speechless for a long time. Immediately after, he decided to just go all the way. I thought, since I've been found out anyway, what else can I do? So I stepped forward to grab the dirty item from Qingqing's hand. Give it to me. If you don't, Qingqing held her hand up high. Give it to me. Did you hear me? Yuan Koxuan's expression turned slightly cold. If you have the ability, come and take it. Situ Chingching is also getting angry. He caught them on the spot, didn't he? With solid evidence, they still dared to act all high and mighty, and neither of them used their powers. They might be afraid of waking Su Yang. Instead, they fought hand to hand, and their movements were very light. At this moment, Chingching's stolen goods were found hidden on herself. Without thinking, Yuan Koshwan grabbed her with one hand, then reached out to feel around. But instead of the stolen goods, she ended up touching a book. Situ Chingching's expression immediately tightened. Senior sister, please give me the book back, okay? I'll give you back the evidence. Just pretend nothing happened. Situ Chingching pleaded desperately, but she was held in place by Yuan Koshwan with one hand. She couldn't move at all. She could only watch helplessly as he started flipping through the book. He flipped to the first page. An embarrassing scene came into view. Yuan Koshwan struggled to look away. Xiao Chang, this is the technique you need to practice with the master. Situ Chingching realized she was exposed, so she took an ostrich approach. She let Yuan Koshwan scold her. He even said, I have improper thoughts about the master. In my opinion, you are the one who is being disloyal to the master. Chingching couldn't refute this. After all, he was not only being disloyal, still the past perfect tense. Master's sister, how can you return the book to me? Situ lightly curled her lips in disdain. First, return that to me. Yuan Koshwan said in a commanding tone. Here you go. He returned the stolen item to Yuan Koshwan. After Yuan Koshwan took the stolen item, she quickly placed it under the bed. He then said in an uncompromising tone, I'm confiscating the book. Day after day, you never think about cultivating yourself, always reading these random, nonsensical books. Then what about what happened tonight? Situ Chingching lowered her head in dismay. Let's just pretend it never happened. Neither of us were ever at the rear hall, understood? All right. Chingching's eyes couldn't hide her joy. Let's go. Don't disturb the master while he rests. Speak up. Yuan Koshwan then grabbed Chingching by the back of her neck and left. In the attic, I opened my eyes. I felt a sense of regret. I had originally thought to take advantage of the big disciple. I suddenly woke up and put on a look of being bullied by my disciple, feeling humiliated, then immediately provoked them with my words. Maybe we can return to the path we took with Chinger. It's a pity that Chinger has also started to have her own thoughts. If only we had one half of the night, and another half for the other. The next morning, at the other side, in the Lord's residence of Qianyuan City, a petite woman in white is hanging a swing, gently swaying barefoot. Each toe is as clear as jade, so beautiful to the extreme. I haven't found a single good disciple this time. If I return like this, I certainly won't earn the master's praise. The person frowning in front of me is Shuijingli, the third direct disciple of the Wind Master of Ziyun Peak. This is for the initiation ceremony in 3 days, hoping to recruit an exceptional disciple, just to please the master. At that moment, footsteps echoed from the wolf path. It was the city lord of Qianyuan City, Shangguanyu. Shui Shangs, there's a visitor outside named Xiaoye. He wishes to meet with you. Late night snack doesn't sound like a serious name. I hope I don't see someone like that again. Just turn them down directly. Using connections won't work with me. It's Shui Shangsher. Lord Shangguan crumpled the invitation for the late night snack. Then he slowly took his leave. Outside the lord's mansion, a young man with an ordinary appearance stood motionless under the blazing sun. Sweat streamed down his face, yet he remained completely unmoved. He exuded an air of resilience. Master, you said, when I see Sister Shui later, what attitude should I hold? Should I be neither humble nor arrogant? Still gentle and considerate. According to what you said, Master, Senior Sister Shui is fated to be with me. What if she falls for me at first sight? What should I do then? I'm kind of speechless. What did he say? What could he possibly say? Did he say congratulations to the newlyweds? May you live a long and happy life together? Even though he's so painfully ordinary, he still thinks every woman in the world would like him. I really don't know where he gets his confidence. If you do meet that Shuijingli, I hope you perform as usual. After all, with your charm, even at half your full potential, then it would be enough to conquer Shuijingli. Don't keep pinching your nose and saying these insincere words. Master, you really do understand me. The late night snack is truly moving. As soon as the words fell, the door to the master's residence opened. A middle-aged man, looking like a butler, walked out. Stubborn for a week, he said lightly. Who among you is the late-night snack? Upon hearing this, the late-night snack was extremely excited. The master really did predict the same as you. But Shuijingli actually wants to see me. Disciple, calm down. There are so many people watching. A warning from Li Lao came through the ring. In the next moment, the late-night snack restrained his inner excitement. I stride confidently towards the butler. My gaze is defiant. My tone is proudly commanding. Let's have a late-night snack. Please lead the way. Butler. Led where? The butler flicks his sleeve. A crumpled invitation is thrown onto the late-night snack. Hurry up when I call you. The sound was dragging on. If someone didn't know better, they'd think you're deaf. Then came a creaking sound. The gates of the city lord's mansion closed again. The next moment, unrestrained laughter echoed all around. Ah, good thing this big fool cleared the way for us. Otherwise, we would have offended Shui Shangsher ourselves. Did any of you notice how smug that big fool looked when the steward called his name just now? Amidst the laughter and joy, young men and women from various clans in the city all departed. Only Xiaoye remained, lost in thought. Why is this happening? Xiaoye's face showed confusion and distortion. All this way, as long as it was the opportunity or woman he wanted, there was nothing he couldn't obtain. Ever since he got involved with the Qingling sect, he was first nearly killed by a single sword strike. Now he's being humiliated like this. Master, didn't you say the Qingling sect was my place of fortune? Is Xue Jili my fated companion then? Why has it turned into this situation now? Give me an explanation. Xiaoye questioned through gritted teeth. The truth is indeed as such, but I have told you that your opportunity will come 3 days from now. At the Ascension Conference, it was you, my disciple, who did not listen to my advice. You insisted on coming to deliver the invitation now. That's why you got slapped in the face. How can you blame me for this? Boldly refuses to take the blame. 3 days later, in the back hall of Ziyun at Qingming sect. Master, are you feeling alright? It's a little better. Master, your strength hasn't fully recovered yet. I don't dare to use too much force. What are you afraid of? I'm not that fragile. I turned my head and looked at Yuan Koshwan, who was sitting on my back, massaging me with great effort, speaking casually. Even though I possess the pure Yang Dao body, how could I be easily overwhelmed by my eldest disciple? Alright, here comes the disciple. Yuan Koshwan held my shoulder and slowly stood up from my waist. I was just about to turn my head and continue enjoying the reflection from my eldest disciple, but my gaze was firmly drawn by Yuan Koshwan's rising movement. Yuan Koshien noticed the dazed look in his master's eyes, and his face immediately flushed with red. Master, don't keep your body so stiff. Relax a bit. Tied up like this, can I really control it? My disciple, how about we take a break first? You've been pressing for so long. As your master, I think you must be tired. I'm not worried about harming my kidneys. My only concern is if the senior disciple steps down too hard, and the bed gets a hole in it. Wouldn't that be embarrassing? For my master's sake, no matter what, I won't feel tired. Yuan Koshwan's voice is clear and lively, but it sounds tinged with a seductive charm. No matter how I listen, it feels a bit gritty, yet I find it very strange. Clearly, as the master, I am now soft and easily bullied. Even if I were pinned down, I would only show a look of a humiliated master, and this little just won't take a bite. I don't even know what he's scared of. Master, why did you suddenly stop talking? Of course, it's because I can't say it directly. What did you say, master? Nothing, my chest just feels a bit stiff. Disciple, press on it a bit. To avoid any awkward situations, I simply turned over. With eyes closed, Zhang Delay spread out, allowing Yuan Koshwan to manipulate him. Yes, master. Yuan Koshwan lightly bit his lip. His cherry lips drew a direct gaze at his noble, gentlemanly master. His copper-toned skin gleamed with a faint pinkish luster, like a precious gem. He gently massaged it. Even through the fabric, he could still feel the delicate, smooth texture, like creamy jade. Even with my eyes closed, I can smell a faint fragrance lingering at the tip of my nose. This makes me adjust my posture. As soon as I move my body, my eldest disciple suddenly steps into empty space. The whole person falls backward. With a shriek, I see my eldest disciple about to topple over. I quickly got up, trying to grab his arm, but I missed the arm, and instead grabbed his skirt. Oops. I saw the skirt get ripped open, and Yuan Koshwan sat on my lap in a duck-like posture. When Yuan Koshwan came to her senses, seeing the pieces of her dress in her master's hand, and the slightly intense look in his eyes, her pale earlobes instantly flushed pink, and her face burned red with heat. Embarrassed, she covered her face with her hands, but then thought, this doesn't really hide anything. Panicking, she flung her arms around him and held on tightly. Master, I was doing a bit better at first, but as Yuan Koshwan approached me in surprise, the two of us ended up getting too close. I could see the atmosphere gradually becoming awkward. Suddenly, I heard footsteps outside the shop. Then a soft voice came through. Master, Yuan Koshwan was stunned in the suburbs. He frantically glanced at the torn dress. What should we do, master? I have no clothes to wear. I didn't expect Qinger to come at this time. I actually feel a bit guilty inside. Quickly, from the wardrobe, I took out a black robe and handed it to Schwer. Don't panic. We're innocent in the first place. You wear my clothes for now. Wait until you're dressed before going out. I will first go stop your fourth junior sister. After saying this, I stepped out of the back hall. Ziyun front hall. Situ gently called me as I walked out the door. He then looked around first. Seeing that the senior sister was not around, he immediately rushed into his master's embrace. He confesses the heartache he has felt these past few days. Senior sister is truly terrible. To prevent him from having any improper thoughts about the master, she has been watching him day and night. At the slightest movement, she appears like a ghost and blocks his path. Master Situ Qingqing came forward, ready to dive into my arms, but just then, a nightmare-like voice suddenly rang in his ear. Xiao Chang, what are you here to see the master for? The joy on Situ Qingqing's face instantly vanished without a trace. He looked at me with a grievance. Then his mournful face turned to Yuan Kuxian. Senior sister, Didn't you receive the message from third senior sister? He was about to explode with anger. What happened to Jinli? In order to avoid being disturbed in their private world, Yuan Kochuan deliberately left the communication talisman behind. Didn't senior sister San come down the mountain under master's orders to select immortals? As a result, she ran into the person you issued a kill order for. Senior sister San was about to kill him. Who would have thought that Heavenly Thunder Peak's master of strategy was also in Qianyuan City? Not only did he intervene to stop senior sister San, but he also saved that person's life. What's even more outrageous is, he shamelessly wants to intercept the high-quality immortal seedlings chosen by senior sister San. Master Wanjun Jinren. Upon hearing this, I raised an eyebrow. This early-stage boss is actually colluding with the protagonist? Has the plot already collapsed to this extent? On the surface, Master Wanjun is one of the 6 winds of the Qingming sect, the leader of the Wanjun Foam. But behind the scenes, he is actually a spy for the demonic sect. The bone-refining devil art is extremely evil. It requires refining hundreds of ancient and exceptional youths to truly master it. Now, hearing that Master Wanjun saved Shaoi, he must intend to use him for his devilish techniques. I really wonder if the protagonist can withstand meeting him so early. But it seems a dog-eat-dog show is about to unfold. Thinking of this, a smile couldn't help but appear on my lips. And with that smile, like the snow clearing in the clouds, colors brightened the empty sky, causing Yuan Kochuan's heart to race wildly. What should I do? I want to push my master down right now. Situ gently glanced at his senior sister's infatuated look. He just wanted to say, Master, please stop radiating your charm. In the future, please only smile for me. What's wrong? I came back to my senses. I looked at my 2 dazed disciples. Master, you broke the rules. Situ gently puffed her cheeks. The disciple is wondering, Master, why are you smiling? Xianke gently tugged at Situ Qingqing. Her voice was warm. He still thinks that Situ Qingqing is just like him, a rebellious disciple with malicious intentions toward the master. Little does he know, Situ Qingqing has long since opposed the master. The rebel has become the master. Just thinking about how the little koi would look all aggrieved makes me laugh. Luo and Situ burst into laughter at the thought, giggling uncontrollably. Third senior sister Shui Jinli is quite the troublemaker on Ziyun Peak. Even the first senior sister is afraid of her on normal days. She sneaks a touch when no one is paying attention. Sometimes she even gives a little slap. She's simply a little hooligan. If you keep laughing, Xiao Chang, be careful, Jinli comes back to hit you. Situ Qingqing stuck out her tongue. Third senior sister can't beat me again. I'm not afraid of her. Within Ziyun Peak, he only fears Yuan Kochuan and the master who speeds up. Yuan Kochuan glared at Qingqing. He immediately petitioned to me, Master, Uncle Wanjun acts so recklessly. Clearly, they don't take us at Ziyun Peak seriously. I suggest that I go to Tianlei Peak tomorrow to pay my respects. I will ensure that I seek justice for Sister Shui. There's no need to wait for the 6 meridians large pen. Moreover, my own cultivation has yet to recover. For now, let's allow Xiaoye and Master Wanjun to have a falling out. But Yuan Kuoxian has a serious expression. In the past, if a disciple from Ziyun Peak was bullied outside, the master would seem indifferent on the surface. But in action, he would never hesitate. Just like last time when he used his sword to cripple the sect master's direct disciple, which infuriated the sect master. The sect master wanted to punish him by making him hide in the punishment cave for 10 years. To protect him, the master charged straight to the sect master's peak. He fought with the sect leader for an entire day and night. And the next day, his punishment was lifted. But now, master is choosing to endure. Does master only care about me? Yuan Kochuan became more and more shy. Her lips pursed slightly. Her face was so red it was almost steaming. Senior sister, stop overthinking. Master means that when the 6 meridians are strong, we, the sisters, will strike to kill directly. We will wipe out all of Tian Leifeng's disciples on the arena. At that time, we can avenge senior sister 3 and also kick Tian Leifeng out of the 6 meridians. It's truly killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Master's strategy is indeed brilliant. Situ Qingqing thought she had guessed her master's intentions. She looked at me with admiration. Upon hearing this, my forehead wrinkled in confusion. What is this? Once inside, great scholars will defend the capital for me. Is that what my master is like? Yuan Kochuan lowered his eyes, slightly disappointed. Xian Er, your suggestion is too reckless. Have you never thought that doing so would anger Lei Wanjun? My cultivation has yet to recover. If that old guy Lei Wanjun comes knocking, I can only guarantee that I will die in front of you. Upon hearing this, Yuan Koxian suddenly raised his head, his beautiful eyes staring right at me. So everything master did was for him. He even doubted master just now. Now that I think about it, it's simply unforgivable. Master, rest assured, if anyone truly dares to attack, I will stay by master's side and fight at all costs. Even if it costs me my life, with my soul completely destroyed, never to reincarnate, I will still. Yuan Kochuan became more agitated as she spoke, her voice tinged with sobs, and crystal clear tears welled up in her eyes. Oh no. I overdid it. To avoid my eldest disciple's tears, I quickly interrupted the spell. Xianer, what nonsense are you saying? No talk of life or death. We must all live well. Yes, Xianer will obey the master's orders. He silently vowed in his heart that no matter who opposes his master in the future, you have to ask the sword in his hand first. All right. You scholars mock me as I leave. Enough. Situ gently looked at the loving pair in front of him. He suddenly felt a bit unnecessary, but the master's words just now were indeed quite impactful. If they were meant for him, he would definitely be moved. He would immediately learn hundreds of poses. Let master do whatever he wants. Saw Yuan Ko selecting paper tools. After I let out a sigh of relief, I asked when the little koi would return. After all, I've been in this world for almost a year, rounding up the numbers. It's been a year, and yet, I'm still not invincible in this world. So, I desperately want to take advantage of the third disciple to gain something from the system. I'm still very eager. Steward Qingqing's guard responded. Third senior sister is returning from Linzhou. It will take several hours before she can reach Xian Peak. Alright, we'll discuss it when little koi returns. If you have nothing else, you may leave now. I need to begin my cultivation. I pretended not to notice Situ Qingqing's longing gaze. After all, there's a female demon next to me. Looking at this little demon, neither am I her, nor does she let any other demon be me. It's really frustrating. Better to just ignore it. Get both of them out of here. No women in my heart. Cultivation comes naturally to me, and I have a feeling deep down I will break through the tribulation within a day at most. Dan follows the master's command. Yuan Koshwan bowed, then gently tugged her outside. Situ Qingqing's plan failed. She pouted, crossing her arms, looking extremely aggrieved. She was dragged out of the Ziyin hall by Yuan Koxian. Then I returned to the back hall, but just as I sat on the edge of the bed, propped myself up, and exhaled a heavy breath, my expression instantly froze. I suddenly looked at the bed, only to see the spot where I had just placed my hand. I can hardly believe it. The physique of the eldest disciple is so unique. In the Peach Blossom Forest attic, Yuan Koxian brought Qingqing to the bamboo house, just as he was about to leave. But at this moment, C2 Qingqing noticed something. She pulled Yuan Koxian back. Why are you wearing master's clothes? Wen Yen Yuanko's pupils constricted. I didn't expect that the master's clothes would fit him so snugly, and that Xiao Cheng would notice. He forced himself to maintain his composure. With a calm demeanor, he stole it. He didn't expect senior sister to be so assertive. Senior sister, how can you do this? Now you dare to casually steal the master's clothes? So are you going to keep stealing techniques? No way. I'm going to report you to master. You're going to report me to master? I won't stop you. But if master punishes me, I'll punish you. Senior sister, you're being unreasonable. C2 Qingqing's voice trembled slightly, seeing Yuan Koshwan both angry and afraid. Yuan Koshwan's attitude was very dismissive. Situ lightly clenched her soft fists. She was furious. How did senior sister become so reckless? No way. I've been knocked down so many times. This time, I must stand up. She gritted her teeth. Take out the jade pendant hidden in the ravine, and wave it in front of Yuan Koshwan. Senior sister, look at what this is. Yuan Koshwan glanced over. Her expression darkened instantly. Her tone was cold. Xiao Cheng, how dare you steal the master's jade pendant? Don't you know this is the only keepsake the master left for him? Give it to me. I'll return it to the master. This jade pendant, he has been thinking about it for a long time, but because it holds significant meaning for the master, he never thought about asking the master for it. I didn't expect that Xiao Qing would be so bold, even daring to steal this jade pendant. Looks like he's getting into trouble again. Watching the senior sister reach out to grab it, C2 Qingqing, already anticipating this, held the jade pendant tightly and turned her body to guard against it. As for you, senior sister, I'm not like you. This jade pendant was given to me by master. When Yen Yuan Ko Xian Dai Mei Jin see you. Xiao Cheng, do you think I would believe you? If you don't believe me, I can confront you in front of the master. C2 Qingqing is completely unafraid. Why did the master give you the jade pendant? He has a clear understanding. He can discern truth from lies through the other person's tone. And Xiao Cheng speaks with such confidence. It's probably true. It's just that he's a bit reluctant. Very reluctant. Of course, it's because I like this jade pendant from my master. Because I saved my master. My master then gave me the pendant. Situ Qingqing almost let it slip. Fortunately, he reacted in time. He didn't say the jade pendant was a token of love. After all, he just wanted to tease the senior sister a little. He wasn't trying to get himself killed. It's just that his cultivation is not as good as the senior sister's. He can only endure for now. Otherwise, he would have moved into the Ziyun Hall long ago. The master gave the jade pendant to Xiao Cheng out of gratitude for saving her life. It also fits with the master's character of repaying kindness. If I had known this earlier, he wouldn't have taken on the task from the Xuanji Pavilion. Anyway, no one dares to compete with him. Yuan Ko Xian felt a bit regretful. The ship has already sailed. As the senior sister, Xiao Cheng, how do you feel about me? Yuan Ko Xian looked gently at Situ Qingqing. Seeing this, Situ Qingqing's pupils shrank. She felt a chilling sensation running down her spine. When things are unusual, there must be something sinister. You must understand that as the senior sister, being a sword cultivator, she has always suppressed conflicts with her great sword. She never bothered with reasoning, but once she starts playing the emotional card, it indicates that her intentions are significant. As a result, not only did Situ Qingqing not lower her guard, but she became even more vigilant, staring at Yuan Koshwan. Senior sister, you're always very good to me. It would be even better if there were fewer punishments. Yuan Koshwan continued to press step by step. Alright, I won't punish you. From now on, as your senior sister, I have a small request for you. I hope you can lend me this jade pendant for 3 days. I'll return it to you after 3 days. What do you say? C2 Chingching firmly shook her head. Lend it to you for 3 days? I'm not a child. Do you think I can be tricked by that? Yuan Koshwan looked at the wary C2 Chingching. After a moment of silence, the voice softened. If you won't lend it, then forget it. It's just a jade pendant. Anyway, I have my master's treasured sword. Let me warn you, my master is meditating. Don't disturb him. Also, make sure to rest well. I will come to check your progress in a few days. After Yuan Kochuan finished speaking, he turned to leave. It's personal revenge. This must be personal revenge. Situ Ching was stomping her feet in anger. After all, every time his skills don't improve, the senior sister always spanks him. It hurts so much. He originally wanted to provoke the senior sister. Now look at this. He ended up losing out. At this moment, 10,000 miles southwest of the Qingming sect, a luxurious giant African ship is sailing through the sky. A dozen young boys and girls are excitedly looking around. This is because they are all contestants eliminated by Ziyun Peak. Just when they thought they would leave in disappointment after being eliminated, the leader of Tianlei Fengfeng personally stepped forward to accept them as disciples. This made them feel a ray of hope after the darkness, a pleasant surprise. Little did they know what kind of despair awaited them ahead. In another cabin, no, don't kill me. I haven't reached the pinnacle yet. I still have 3,000 characters to my name. A scream echoed. Xiao Yi suddenly opened his eyes, breathing heavily. Young friend, you had a nightmare. A gentle voice came from behind Xiao Yi. Xiao Yi forced himself up. His head was throbbing. He bowed to him. Thank you, Master Wanjun, for saving my life, Xiao Yi said. No need for formalities, Master Wanjun said with a smile. Do you know why I risk offending Ziyun Peak to save you? Xiao Yi's mind raced, and he instantly understood everything. Then respectfully, he knelt on the ground. Xiao Yi has been wandering, without support. If I cannot meet the real person, I would be willing to take him as my master. He has figured it out. Relying solely on Master Li wouldn't be enough to save his life in danger, so he simply takes on another master. This Master Wanjun is the Lord of Thunder Peak. His strength must be no weaker than that old thief Su Yang of Purple Cloud Peak. I believe I should be able to find protection from him. Thus, I can seize the opportunity at Ziyun Peak. Master Wanjun nodded in satisfaction. Good, good, good. From today onward, you will be my 108th direct disciple of Tianlei Peak. 108 direct disciples? Isn't that a bit too many? Then won't the cultivation resources available to me be very limited? Xiao Yi felt a sense of doubt rising in his heart. Disciple, are you worried about your status within the sect? Master Wanjun seemed to see through his heart. I wouldn't dare, Master. Xiao Yi naturally couldn't admit it. Is it that you don't dare or you don't want to? The first thing I want to teach you today is that in front of your master, never hide what you're truly thinking. Say whatever is on your mind. Your master won't blame you. Master Wanjun spoke seriously. He instructed, my child, do not fear. Xiao Ye gritted his teeth. He muttered that he felt he couldn't lie in front of this cheap master. Good, very good. What Tianlei needs is a disciple like you, full of ambition. Then, Master Wanjun held Xiao Ye up. He continued to remind him that the Thunderbolt Peak has been dropping in rankings repeatedly. Thus, he hoped that Xiao Ye would gain a high ranking this time. Restore the reputation of Thunderbolt Peak. What Master means is to challenge other peaks without hesitation. It's fine to injure or kill, with me supporting you from behind. Moreover, as long as you can win all the cultivation resources, the disciple obeys the master's command. Xiao Yi, with a solemn expression, the disciple borrowed a pointer. Just then, Li Lao's voice was heard. Xiao Yi interrupted, thinking that Li Lao was concerned about him taking other masters. He seriously said that the real person of Wanjun was able to save him from senior sister Shui. He must have the strength to rival the demon Su Yang. I chose him as my master. He protects me. Wouldn't that make it easier to seize opportunities? But Elder Li remained silent for a moment, then sighed slightly, taking Xiao Ye as a disciple. He didn't care much about it. It was during the time he was unconscious after the late-night meal that he came to understand something else. That is, why Xiao Yi, as the chosen one, kept suffering repeatedly. There had to be an invisible hand manipulating things behind the scenes, and the reason Xiao Yi resisted coming to the Qingming sect earlier was certainly because fate was testing him. There are great dangers and terrors in this Qingming sect, so he first explained the matter of worship. He doesn't mind warning about the dangers of Ziyun Peak. In the end, he offers benefits to persuade Xiao Yi to leave quickly. He knows of another place where a respected one has fallen, a cave. To this day, no one has discovered it, but Xiao Yi simply doesn't believe this. He declares that if there exists anything that can conceal the heavenly secrets and schemes against him, with his meager and radical cultivation, it would be easy to crush him. As for hiding in the shadows like a coward, boldly, next time at least make your lies more convincing. Otherwise, you'll only make people laugh. Xiao Yi mocked. Hearing this, Old Li was stunned. He never expected that. After being questioned by his conscience, Xiao Yi wouldn't show any fear. Instead, it became somewhat mad and wicked. But as a remnant soul within the ring, he shares both honor and disgrace with this midnight snake. snack. What benefits one, harms the other. He cannot just watch him walk towards the abyss. He can only gently advise, my disciple, I know you harbor resentment, but I cannot harm you. Of course, you wouldn't harm me. You still need to absorb my soul power. Afraid I'll regain my physical body, Xiao Yi said coldly. That's why you want me to flee from Qingming's sect. That way, you can avoid the risks and still safely absorb my soul power. Stop talking. Including Shuijingli, the 7 characters of Ziyun Peak. I will definitely bring them all under my control. Su Yang, that old demon. Even if the Venerable arrives, he won't be able to save him. I said this with Xiao Ye's eyes burning with intense fire. Li Lao sighed helplessly. Good advice is hard to give. The damned ghost, he was about to say that Wan Junjinwen might have an issue, but if he mentioned the midnight snack, he might fear that it would seem like he's sowing discord, making him hate him even more. A few hours later, someone outside the cabin informed him that senior brother Xiao had finally arrived. I know. Xiao Yi opened his eyes. His entire presence surged like a deep abyss. Outside the cabin, everyone looked at the ethereal scenery of the Clear Ming sect, their excitement overflowing. 5 eyes azure mirror, silver waterfall flying snow, divine mountains stand tall. The jade towers are truly magnificent. Didn't they say the Clear Ming sect only has 6 peaks? Why does it look like so many at a glance? At least hundreds of letters. The 6 letters refer only to these 6 that have lineage. The rest are unclaimed letters. Oh, if I become a true god of transformation, can I open a letter myself? Of course. When you become a true god of transformation, don't forget to make me an elder. And I have a group of young boys and girls dreaming of a bright future. Is this group of useless fools all you've got? Struggling just to be a disciple. And you want to be the wind master? Aren't you afraid of being laughed at? Then, Xiao Yi jumped down from Africa. He cast a contemptuous glance at everyone around. The ones being scolded turned pale, but they were forced to acknowledge Xiao Ye's strength. Angry but afraid to speak. Suddenly, Xiao Ye's gaze focused. In the distance, a graceful and stunningly beautiful figure appeared. Her ethereal and otherworldly aura captured everyone's attention. The disciples started guessing. Is this fairy-like sister a member of Tian Leifeng? A phrase surfaced in Xiao Ye's mind. How should he act to win her heart? Looking at the approaching figure, he secretly calculated. But in the next moment, a resounding cry was heard. A white phoenix soared into the sky. An overwhelming pressure descended, impossible to ignore. It left everyone breathless. As for Xiao Yi in front, he collapsed under the pressure with a thud. Xiao Ye is kneeling again, and again. Meanwhile, the heat from Phoenix's wires was still scorching. He felt like he was in the middle of the Rhone River. Every part of his body hurt. Why do all the women in this Qingming scene want to kill him? Xiao Ye's heart hurt even more than his body. He couldn't understand. Nor did he have time to think. Master, save me. These words slipped out instinctively. In an instant, a blazing figure shot out from the middle of Africa. A mighty aura swept across, like a gentle spring breeze dissolving all oppression. Situ, you failed in your duty. Are you trying to kill the disciple I just took in? Champion Immortal said grimly. So they were disciples of Heavenly Thunder Peak. I noticed they weren't wearing the uniform of the Qingming sect. I thought they were enemies attacking the Qingming sect. In a moment of panic, I acted out. I truly apologize. So Master One originally thought we were invading enemies. Hearing this reason, Xiao Yi breathed a sigh of relief. It's said that as the chosen one, even if he can't win the heart of a beauty, he shouldn't become the target of everyone's scorn. If not wearing the uniform makes one an enemy, then I see that Situ also didn't wear it. Should I treat someone failing in their duties as an enemy too? The tone of the real man of 1,000 armies is cold and forceful. Failing in duties is just a result of being too devoted to the sect. If Master Wan insists on blaming me and lets my master know, he will surely take me to Thunder Peak tomorrow to apologize in person. Situ Qingqing spoke pitifully, seemingly not wanting her master to know, but Master Wan caught the hidden meaning. If you don't know what's good for you, then her master will have to come personally. But whether to apologize in person or to beat him up, all depends on his decision. At this moment, however, Master Wan Jun was nearing the foundation establishment stage. He could only grit his teeth and mutter to himself that the Demon Palace was still incomplete. He was not yet a match for Su Yan. Only with the complete power of the Demon Palace could the reckoning come. Master Wan Jun's face turned grim. Since Sitong's failure was for the safety of the sect, I won't criticize too harshly, but there must not be a next time. At that moment, the snow-covered Africa landed as well. Seeing this, Sidong Qingqing smiled brightly. Like a butterfly, she quickly rushed over. In an instant, a scream burst out from Xiao Ye's mouth. With a light lift of her toes, she glanced apologetically at the kneeling Xiao Yi. Sorry, I didn't see you there. Are you alright? Xiao Yi endured the pain from his fingers, trying hard to appear calm. This senior sister. It's okay. Mr. Li was speechless. The toe bones were crushed. Said it was okay. Late night snack is still that late night snack. As soon as I see a beautiful woman, I forget everything. It's okay, it's okay. What is your name? It makes me worry in vain. Sita lightly shot a displeased glance at Xiaoye. Xiaoye then looked towards Shuijingli. Val smiled and said, Senior Sister 3, you finally returned. Saying this, he was about to return to Ziyun Peak with him. Upon hearing this, Xiaoye was stunned. This person with the surname Situ actually called Shuijingli Senior Sister 3. Does that mean they are quite familiar familiar with each other? So the other party is doing this to him on purpose. The woman in black he met during social engagements was like this. Shui Jingli at the Qianyuanqing disciple recruitment ceremony was like this. And Situ Qingqing at Qingming sect was still like this. Why? Why do all the women of Ziyun Peak wish to eliminate him? Could it really be as elderly said, that there's something blocking the heaven's secrets and setting him up? On the way to Ziyun Peak, Shui Jingli pinched Situ Qingqing's butt. Then, he pulled the woman beside him closer. This was Liu Beifeng, the finest immortal prodigy from Qianyuan City. I've met you before, senior sister. Liu Beifeng greeted shyly. No need for formalities. My name is Situ Qingqing. I rank 4th at Ziyun Peak. You can call me senior sister Situ, or you can call me 4th senior sister. I don't mind either way. Situ Qingqing said casually. Crying, she glanced at Liu Beifeng smiled at her briefly. Junior sister Liu, doesn't it hurt to keep pursing your lips like that? Upon hearing this, Liu Beifeng's face flushed. You've gotten used to it, haven't you? Don't get used to it next time. If you purse them too long, they might deform. It feels uncomfortable when pinched. Situ Qingqing instinctively repeated what their master had once said to them. But Shui Jinli quickly sensed something was off. She reached out toward Situ Qingqing's soft chest. It was about to fall into her clutches. Qingqing quickly crossed her arms over her chest. Third senior sister, what are you doing? Be good and let me give it a squeeze. Squeeze it and you'll know if it's deformed. No way, I don't believe you. Unless you let me squeeze it. Don't you have any yourself? It's different. Your scale is much larger. Situ Qingqing is running for her life. Shui Jinli is chasing hard. The key point is, no rabbit, no eagle. So, Sister Shui is actually this kind of demon. Liu Beifeng wants to mediate, but he's afraid that if he joins in, he is the one being besieged. In front of the Ziyun Hall, her beautiful eyes widened. She hurriedly adjusted her clothes. Third senior sister, are you satisfied now? Although he tried his best to escape, he ultimately fell into Shui Jingli's clutches. Very satisfied, indeed. Shui Jingli smiled brightly. He gestured with both hands. First it was a small apple, but later it turned into a big gift. Did you secretly use a recipe? Qingqing's face flushed. What recipe are you talking about? Don't talk nonsense. I have always been like this. Sister, you should reflect on yourself a bit more. He didn't expect that senior sister San would be so perceptive. She could even tell that he had grown a bit. But how could he possibly tell Shui Jingli? The master is his prescription. Though bitter to the taste, it is a good remedy. I did look for it. I'm small, and Shui Jingli glanced down for a moment. He said pitifully and lightly pouted. Instead of asking me, you might as well ask Sister Liu. Indeed, Shui Jingli's peripheral vision swept towards Liu Beifeng. Even with bandages, you could see the contours on Sister Liu. She's exceptionally talented. How should I beg? When Yan Liu is sad. Feng looks confused. Why bring him into this again? It's best not to say anything, to avoid getting into trouble. Qingqing, not wanting Shui Jinli to get caught up in this topic, looks towards the Ziyun Palace, then instructed, third senior sister, stay here and don't move. Let me go in first and report to master. Why can't I go in with you? You're not doing things well. Aren't you afraid of angering master? That's why I'll go in first to plead on your behalf. Qingqing found a very good excuse. Why did things turn out poorly? Didn't I find an immortal seedling? Shui Jinli murmured softly. Senior sister, what did you say? Qingqing turned back to look. Oh, it's nothing. I told you to go quickly and come back quickly. Remember that. If master's mood is off, you must help senior sister calm down. If master gets furious, you have to give me a signal, so I can escape. Shui Jinli raised her eyes with a faint smile, lifting her hand and waving like a lucky cat. When Qingqing entered the purple cloud hall, Liu Beifeng hesitated a bit. To senior sister Shui, is master really that fierce? Shui Jinli blinked, seriously explaining, master's chest is definitely smaller than yours, but it's bigger than mine. If there's a chance, I can take you to try it out. But remember, once you try it, run immediately. If, unfortunately, you get caught, just elegantly stick out your hips. Hearing this, Liu Beifeng was taken aback. His face flushed red with embarrassment. He didn't expect senior sister Shui to be so indecent, even mentioning master Ziyun back hall, Situ. As soon as Qingqing entered the door, he saw his long-awaited master, bare-chested, with his back facing him. His hands continuously formed seals, emitting a faint glow of spiritual energy. Upon seeing this scene, his expression instantly became strange. A blush bloomed on his cheeks like spring flowers in February. His heart embarrassingly quickened. He thought to himself, thank goodness I didn't let third sister come in with me. Otherwise, the world-honored one's reputation will be ruined. Of course, the most important thing is that he saw the secret of the master. I'll keep the secret for you for a lifetime. Situ quietly swallowed his saliva. He stepped forward and placed his hand on my shoulder. Just as he was about to speak softly, master, he cried out in surprise. I grabbed Qingqing and threw her over my shoulder. But when I heard it was Qingqing's voice, I immediately grabbed his waist and kept him from actually falling out. Even so, he was still scared out of his wits. He completely fell into my arms. Qinger, why are you here? Did your senior sister give up on watching you? C2 Qingqing's face turned red. Qingqing huffed, no. Third senior sister is back. I came in to inform you. Master, what were you doing just now? I was, of course, practicing my skills. Ah, You really were practicing. Qingqing felt a little disappointed. Just as I was about to say something, I felt the breathing by my ear grow heavier. He turned his head to look and found that his master's gaze was almost blazing red. No, we can't. Third senior sister is still waiting outside. After sobering up a bit, I replied, I'm feeling a bit dizzy. Wasn't Situ Qingqing feeling the same? Her cheeks flushed. She asked with concern, Master, are you feeling unwell? Is it because of the technique you've been cultivating, which led to an excess of yang energy? Stand up first. I'll come see you shortly, the master replied slowly. The third senior sister added. I helped Qingqing up. Master, let me help you calm down. Qinger, you're acting too recklessly. I can only help you for now. Alright, Su Yang couldn't refuse. After one incense stick burns, outside the Ziyun Hall, Xue Jingli was starting to get anxious. What's going on with Xiaoqing? It's been so long already. Why hasn't the master let him in yet? Forget it, no more waiting. Whether he's dead or alive, it doesn't matter anymore. Xiao Beifeng, follow me and go in to destroy the master. Xue Jingli grabbed Lu Beifeng's hand. Bracing himself, he charged into the Ziyun Hall. But just as he reached the store entrance, he heard a series of crisp slapping sounds. It was obvious that Xiaoqing had been beaten up for him. Xue Jingli suddenly stopped in his tracks. Xiao Beifeng. Depends on senior sister Yu Jian. How about we wait a bit longer? Lu Beifeng readily agreed. Senior sister Xue, I'll listen to you. Xue Jingli looked at Ziyun Hall with guilt on her face. She earnestly reminded Lu Beifeng. Little Beifeng, your senior sister Situ took this beating for us. You must remember to repay her in the future. Never overstep your bounds. Chapter 35, Reincarnation, Sea of Stone, Spiritual Seal. Another stick of incense passes. A cold and frosty beauty appears. A figure with exaggeratedly perfect proportions lands with her jade sword before the Ziyun Hall. It was Yuan Ko Xian. She was so absorbed in her cultivation with Xixiao that she didn't notice the message sent by Xue Jingli through his sword. Master Sister Xue Jingli met his gaze as he approached. But before he could reach her, he was blocked by Yuan Koxuan, who held the sword sheath against his outstretched hand. Hasn't half an hour already passed? Why haven't you entered to meet the world-honored one? Yuan Koxuan's expression was calm and unchanging. She spoke in a cold tone that sounded distant. Xue Jili reluctantly shifted his gaze away from the large watermelon in front of Yuan Koxuan. A sheepish expression appeared on her face. She shamefully said that because she hadn't done a good job, she was afraid of being reprimanded by her master. So she sent Xiaoqing in to test the waters for her. As a result, he got beaten up. So she didn't dare go in even more, letting her junior sister suffer in her place. As the senior sister, she really felt it was hard to admit. The beaten Yuan is raising his eyebrows. Yeah, he was beaten quite badly. I can hear the screams from this far away. Xiaoqing has really suffered for me, this senior sister. She has truly endured a lot of grievances. Xue Jili, you are aware of it. Since you know, then you should restrain your temper. Cultivate diligently, then master won't send you out on errands. After all, I am the third direct disciple of Ziyan Peak. Foundation Establishment Level 9. I haven't even reached the core formation stage. I'm not afraid of being laughed at when I say that. Yuan Ko Xianqin rebuked. Senior sister, I have a special physique. Ma Xue Jingli was awkwardly silent. Stop making so many excuses. Yuan Ko Xian was clearly not buying Xue Jingli's excuses. After scolding Xue Jingli, her gaze fell on Lu Beifeng. So this is the disciple you recruited from Qianyuan City? Senior sister, his name is Lu Beifeng. He has the highest talent in Qianyuan City. Although that old thief Wan Jun took one of the celestial seedlings, he at least managed to keep one. Xue Jingli felt that the task entrusted by his master was not perfect, but it was at least satisfactory. Lu Beifeng had met the senior sister. Lu Beifeng quickly bowed in respect. The monkey bandit's gaze softened slightly. He nodded. Junior sister Lu has good talent. Master should take you as a disciple. Lu Beifeng is already used to it. It seems like everyone on Ziyun Peak can tell she's disguised as a man. Is her disguise really that poor? How long has Xiaoqing been inside? Yuan Ko Xian asked. Half an hour? Yuan Ko Xian heard this and thought, something's wrong. Half an hour has already passed. That treacherous disciple Xiaoqing, who harbors ill intentions, might have done something to the master. Without hesitation, he started running, rushing towards the Ziyun Hall. Xue Jili didn't know what was wrong. Could it be that senior sister is afraid master will beat Xiaoqing to death? After thinking it over, Xue Jingli decided to pull Lu Beifeng and quickly catch up to Yuan Koxuan's pace. But as soon as they entered Ziyun Hall, they saw master sitting leisurely on the throne. His clothes were very neat, showing no signs of disturbance. Situ Qingqing was standing where the hands were placed. The dress has signs of tearing. The flush on her face hasn't faded. Her lips are bright red. Did master beat Xiaoqing so badly that she coughed up blood? Xue Jingli noticed the corner of Situ Qingqing's lips. He was startled. Ah, how did you get in here? I was just about to call for you. Situ Qingqing covered her bottom. She frowned slightly and said, hearing Xiaoqing's hoarse voice, Xue Jingli felt quite guilty. This made the master shout hoarsely from being beaten. Master Yuan Koshwan examined Situ Qingqing for a while, but did not find anything unusual. Then he spoke and bowed to Su Yang. Master Xue Jingli also followed suit and bowed immediately. Actually, ever since Xue Jingli entered, Su Yang had been observing him. He was far from the troublemaker described in the original work. His appearance was elegant and lively, with an innocent, refined air. He looked quite like a young girl, just beginning to bloom. She has a tall and slender figure. Her smooth legs are round and straight. They're the kind of terrifyingly perfect legs. But just looking online feels a bit lacking. They barely seem to be just enough to fit within a hand. Isn't this clearly anti? Su Yang withdrew his gaze. The tone can't distinguish between joy and anger. Little Koi, I heard you messed things up. Xue Koi lowered her head, muttering under her breath. It's not really a mess up, is it? I brought back a fairy seedling, didn't I? Su Yang, upon hearing this, immediately became angry. This is what Situ Qingqing requested. Otherwise, he was afraid that flaws would be detected. Unexpectedly, before he could speak, he heard the eldest disciple, Yuan Koshwan, angrily reprimanding him. What the master says is what it is. How dare you argue back? After being sternly scolded by Yuan Koshwan, Xue Jingli hung his head. Biting her lip, she looked extremely aggrieved. Su Yan obviously didn't expect that something he was supposed to do would be taken care of by his senior apprentice, so what was he supposed to do? In a family, if the mother plays the good cop, then the father has to play the bad cop. Otherwise, it could easily lead to a broken family relationship. So that's settled. Schwer, your junior sister wasn't arguing. She just felt wronged. I don't blame her. Su Yan gently advised. Xue Jinli's expression became serious. It was as if he thought he had misheard. That usually stern master of yours, even his voice can be this gentle. It sounds so good, like music from heaven. Look how kind your master is to you. You should thank him for sparing you, Yuan Koxian. His voice trembled as he said, disciple thanks the great master for not holding grudges against a petty person. A prime minister can endure much. Upon being reminded by the senior sister, Xue Jinli raised his head and hurriedly saluted. Su Yang casually waved his hand at the little Koi. This person is the immortal seed you brought back from Chenyuan City. Xue Jinli nodded. Reporting to the master, his name is Liu Beifeng, top-grade talent, second place in the competition. He bowed and asked about the new crown, and won first place. The stars are top-grade. All these excellent qualities combined can be called the ultimate celestial seedling. Hearing Xue Jingli's somewhat exaggerated praise, Liu Beifeng's face flushed slightly. How could he possibly be considered an exceptional immortal candidate? But under Xue Jingli's suggestive gaze, he immediately knelt on the ground. He bowed to Su Yang and said, Master Feng, please accept me as your disciple. Looking at the kneeling Liu Beifeng, Su Yang found it hard to believe. His gaze shows a hint of shock. How could it be him? In the original story, Xue Jinli went to Chenyuan City to select the immortal seedlings. Without the interference of late-night snacks, Liu Beifeng was undoubtedly the first-place winner. Then he was taken away by Master Wanjun. When he arrived at Tianlei Peak, there had been no news for years. At that time, Su Yang thought the author had forgotten about the character Liu Beifeng. But then, at chapter 300, Liu Beifeng appeared again. He teamed up with the protagonist Li Ying to eliminate the early boss, Wan Junjinren. The reason Wan Junjinren didn't refine Liu Beifeng was that Liu Beifeng was suspected of being reincarnated. In his Sea of Stones, there is a spiritual mark. Whenever it senses that Liu Beifeng is in danger, the spiritual mark will automatically protect him. Wan Junjinren originally planned to slowly wear down the mark. Unfortunately, the protagonist grew too quickly, not giving Wan Junjinren the chance. As for how Liu Beifeng and Xiaoyi met, it's not mentioned in the original novel. Anyway, the two of them met in such a muddled way. Later, during the protagonist's campaign against Zhu Tian, Liu Beifeng even became the protagonist's strongest leader. She can be said to be the female lead with the most scenes in the second half of the original work, without a doubt. So why didn't real Master Wan Jun abduct Liu Beifeng this time? Could it be because the protagonist appeared in Chenyuan City, causing real Master Wan Jun's attention to be completely drawn to him? They completely overlooked this true uncut gem, Liu Beifeng, and the plot took a fascinating turn because of it. Liu Beifeng was brought to Ziyun Peak by the little Koi, and now he wants to take him as his master. This is just brilliant. Su Yang was overwhelmed with excitement, unable to control himself. Though the protagonist's fortune is extraordinary, but what's the use of divine protection alone? In this world, you need strength and connections. Early support, later reinforcements, all of them are his disciples. What does the protagonist have to fight him? Chapter 36, 10,000-fold Return, True Dragon Dao Fruit, Ziyun Hall. Are you truly willing to take me as your master? Su Yang's gaze fell on Liu Beifeng. His tone was friendly. Beifeng is willing. Liu Beifeng did not hesitate. He knelt and said it was not enough. Before the apprenticeship, I have something I need to explain to you. A few days ago, I encountered a problem during my cultivation. It led to the mastery of cultivation being finished. Now, having practiced from the beginning until now, I can barely assist in breaking through the 9 heavens. If you feel I am unqualified, you can still leave Zen Peak now. But once you take me as your master, then it is a day as a teacher, a lifetime as a father. If you defy me in the future, we shall execute the entire Zeon Peak. For such a major matter, you must proceed with caution. You absolutely cannot act rashly or recklessly, Su Yang said solemnly. Upon hearing that her master's cultivation had been completely lost, Xue Jingli's beautiful eyes widened instantly. She quietly turned her head. He glanced at Situ Qingqing, who was not far away, and sent a telepathic message, questioning, Xiaoqing. Master's cultivation has reached Jingshi. How could you not tell me something so important? I was busy with 7th senior brother. How would I have time to tell you? Situ Qingqing shrugged. Oh. My master told me not to speak of this. He fears you all will worry outside, especially since Yao Yao is undergoing the clan's inheritance. Nothing must go wrong. Of course, my master never said anything like this to him. But he can ask my master to help keep it hidden. At worst, he'll just get scolded again by my master. But you can't keep everything from me. Xue Jingli is getting a bit frantic. Didn't I just reveal it? You just came down from Africa. Didn't I give you a look to suggest not to get tangled up with Wan Jun, that old thief? Xue Jingli, in a moment of frustration, thought something was off. The master assisted in striking the 9th heaven. How did you just get beaten up so badly by him? And for a full half an hour too? Xue Jingli noticed something. He frowned and questioned. Take another look at the foundation building level of our master. Is it serious, Situ? It's quite helpless. Whose foundation building level is like a true dragon? Just raising a hand is enough. Even the divine emperor cannot submit. I can only ask for mercy. Xue Jin and Li heard this. They looked up. Their eyes suddenly froze. Their minds went completely blank. A buzzing sound echoed. Breath like an abyss. Crying blood like a dragon. An aura deep beyond measure. This is the 9th heaven of foundation establishment. Why do I feel like a frog at the bottom of a well peeking at the bright moon in the sky? Xue Jingli was shocked beyond words. She almost gasped on the spot. Why does it feel like Master became even more terrifying after cleansing his cultivation? Senior Sister Xue, are you still at the foundation establishment stage? When you reach the foundation establishment stage, meeting the Master will be like a mayfly gazing at the sky. See Tu Qingqing's harsh blow. As the only one dealing it, the more he engages deeply with the Master, the more he perceives the Master's grandeur. He is very certain, even if the master is at the 9th level of foundation establishment, I can still crush senior sister, who was born with a sword heart. This is a crushing of life levels. All the flashy moves are useless. Just wait, in a few days I'll break through to the tribulation core realm. Not as good as master. But can I be better than you, Xiao Chang? For the first time in his life, Xue Jinli wanted to train hard. Don't blame the road for being uneven if you're not capable. He wants to see if reaching the core formation stage is as Qing said. The master is even more unpredictable. Now, do you still wish to be my disciple? Xue Yang calmly said. Lu Beifeng earnestly replied, with sincere words. Beifeng's devotion to the master has remained unchanged through the ages. He knows his uniqueness. After first meeting the master of Zeon Peak, the spirit seal in the stone sea began to stir like never before. It continuously conveyed excited thoughts to him, urging him to take the opportunity to become a disciple. This spirit seal is quite miraculous. It can avert danger and attract good fortune. It can also seek out opportunities. But even when he obtained a 1,000-year-old spiritual herb from a demon beast cave last time, he was never this excited. So Lu Beifeng is convinced that if he joins Zeon Peak, he will benefit immensely. Starting from today, you will be the 8th disciple of Zeon Peak. Qing Chuan's gaze is profound. Like the autumn waters nurturing the years, the waves sparkle, endless tranquility. Disciple Beifeng, I pay my respects, master. Lu Beifeng couldn't help but speak up. I've been kneeling for quite a while. It's quite tiring. Su Yang smiled a little. His gentle voice was like a breeze brushing the face, warm and soothing, like drifting clouds and flowing water. It subtly stirred the demonic heart of Xue Jingli. Has master changed so much? After attaining purification? Xue Jingli asked through voice transmission. Master said he was only focused on seeking the Tao and immortality before. You neglected us disciples. After reflecting on the pain, I want to be a kind and gentle master. Situ Qingqing shared the edited clip with Xue Jingli. Does that mean I can dance on the master's abs? The joy on Xue Jingli's face was almost overflowing. A few years ago, he got beat up by the master for pinching his but was left bruised. I almost couldn't get out of bed for 2 days. Hi, senior sister Xue. The master said to be kind and gentle, but that doesn't mean I won't beat you up. Just now, junior sister took a beating for you. Have you forgotten so soon? Situ Qingqing saw that Xue Jingli was up to no good again. She quickly spoke up to stop him. It's fine, I have thick skin. Let's test Shizuan's limits. I won't die, Shui Jinli said carelessly. After all, even someone like Xiao Qing, with delicate skin, got beaten for half an hour and only had a sore butt. It means Shizuan's strength has weakened. He definitely has to seize this chance. After all, he's been eyeing Shizuan's broad chest for a long time. Liu Beifeng stood up and looked at the elegant master sitting at the table. After a moment's hesitation, he took out a spiritual herb shaped like a dragon from his storage realm. He bowed his head and respectfully reported to his master. The disciple accidentally obtained a millennium-old heavenly and earthly spirit herb from a beast cave. He offers it to the master as a gift for becoming a disciple. Upon hearing this, Yuan Ko, Xian, Situqingqing, and Shuijingli's 3 daughters were all stunned on the spot. It was as if they had heard something unbelievable. Oh, let me take a look. Su Yang reached out and took the spiritual herb in his hand. His eyes immediately lit up. He appeared calm. But inside, it was as if thunder had struck a calm lake, stirring up layers of white waves, only because the system's prompt sound rang in my ears again. Liu Beifeng bestowed the host with the 1000-year spiritual herb, Dragon Blood Grass, triggering a 10,000-fold critical hit, returning a true dragon fruit from 10,000 years. Dragon Blood Grass is at best just a weed. After absorbing a trace of dragon blood, it evolved from a weed into a spiritual herb. This is not rare. Even many major families of jade beasts can rely on the bloodletting of tamed dragons. They can mass-produce so-called dragon's blood grass. However, the dragon's blood grass in Su Yang's hand is somewhat different. The dragon it is derived from shows signs of transformation. Its bloodline purity is extremely high, and it is at least 1,200 years old. It is indeed a rare spiritual object. But compared to the true dragon Dao fruit, it is nothing at all. The gap between them is like pebbles compared to mountains. Even a newly formed one is beyond the reach of flood dragon bloodgrass, because the true dragon Dao fruit is nurtured by the blood of a true dragon, seizing the wonders of heaven and earth. Every 1,000 years, there will be a heavenly tribulation. Each time you successfully survive a tribulation, the true dragon Dao fruit evolves a portion of the true dragon's body. The 10,000-year-old true dragon Dao fruit has survived 10 tribulations. Its form is almost identical to that of a true dragon. It's considered a true dragon elixir. Once consumed, refining the bones, cleansing the marrow, strengthening the body is just the start. It has the miraculous effect of reviving bones and bringing the dead back to life. It may even transform the user into a true dragon. Of course, Su Yang possesses the supreme Yang Dao physique, which ranks even higher than the true dragon physique. Thus, he is consuming the true dragon Dao bone. Although he won't transform into a true dragon, it will help him perfect his core formation and greatly enhance his physique, nourishing yang and strengthening kidneys. By then, I'm afraid Xiao Qing will be even more unable to resist his supreme technique. Chapter 37, The Presence of Lord Zhang. Do not underestimate the youth. The quality of the flood dragon bloodgrass is quite good. Since it's a token of filial piety from Beifeng, I will accept it as your master. Shui Yang placed the blood herb of the flood dragon into the storage realm. Then he looked at Yuan Ko Xian and smiled, asking, Shui'er, how many spiritual herbs over 1,000 years old are left in the treasury? Master, in response, there are more than 50 portions. Yuan Ko Xian heard Su Yang's question. He came to his senses. He replied that the tragic wind broke through the Jiedan realm. You take a suitable one for him. Also, later on, you take him to the Divine Weapon Pavilion to choose a suitable weapon. The rank shouldn't be too high. Just a lower grade one will do. As for the monthly cultivation resources, take as much as you need. No rewards necessary. One more thing. After collecting the cultivation resources, take Beifeng to find a cave with abundant spiritual energy. Su Yang's tone was very casual, as if he were talking about something trivial. It can reach Liu Beifeng's ears. The spirit mist of heaven and earth is over 50 points. The earth-level weapons are not considered high. There's no need to save on cultivation resources. Is this human language? No, it's melodious and enchanting. You should know the language of immortals. In the entire cultivation world, almost all rogue cultivators spend their whole lives doing one thing, and that is fighting for resources. If they're not fighting for resources, they're on their way to fight for resources. Even sects can only meet the basic daily cultivation needs of their disciples. But when it comes to breakthroughs, disciples need to do tasks for the sect, or leave the sect and try their luck in the outside world. Only then can one accumulate enough resources for breakthroughs. It's completely impossible to be as wealthy and influential as Ziyun Peak. Liu Beifeng's beautiful eyes flickered. She opened her mouth, wanting to say something, but nothing came out. She felt like a naive girl who had never seen the world. There was even an urge to pinch herself hard. Check if you're dreaming. Shui Jinli saw Liu Beifeng's dumbfounded expression. Covering his mouth, he laughed and said, Little Beifeng, no need to be surprised. Our Ziyun Peak is just like this. Liu Beifeng suddenly felt a bit embarrassed. How silly he was. He was still thinking of giving the world's spiritual treasures to his master, so that his master could break through to the tribulation core stage. But Ziyun Peak is never short of celestial treasures. There are over 50 celestial treasures that are more than 1,000 years old. As for those under 1,000 years, they are countless. No wonder the 3 senior sisters were so surprised when they heard I was offering a dragon blood grass to the master. They all looked incredulous. So embarrassing. Situ Qingqing noticed Liu Beifeng's face blushing slightly. She thoughtfully eased the tension for him. Even junior sister Shui gave a gift to the master, and she's just a new disciple. You've been away for so many days. Didn't you find any treasures? You, Situ Qingqing, got a new junior sister and now you're betraying your senior sister? Good thing Shui Jingli is always so upright. How could I? From my point of view, junior sister Liu is the best gift I've given to master. But as for you, Xiao Cheng, you stayed at Xian Peak. How come you didn't take good care of master? Let's settle each issue separately. Taking a beating for him is one thing, but getting him into trouble is another. Since Xiao Qing has chosen to bring disaster eastward, he will definitely retaliate. Otherwise, how would senior sister maintain her dignity? When Situ Qingqing heard this, she flinched a bit. He took care of it, but it ended up in bed. Situ Qingqing puffed up her cheeks and retorted, when master had an issue with cultivation, I rushed to the Ziyun Hall immediately, taking care of the master closely for 2 whole hours. If you don't believe me, ask the master. Su Yang attended closely for 2 hours. How dare you even say that? Almost shook his waist to the point of breaking. Of course, when facing the quarrel between 2 disciples, the best way for the master to handle it is not to take sides. Neither side helps. Wait until one side loses, then just comfort them privately. Master hasn't said anything. It seems that what you said, Xiaoqing, is a lie. Shui Jingli is launching an attack, master. You should say something. Situ Qingqing sounds a bit aggrieved. Su Yang raised a question mark on his forehead. Is this directed at me? Just as Su Yang found himself in a dilemma. Everyone, stop arguing. The Koi has found the 8th disciple for Xianfeng. Xiaoqing has also done her best to take care of the master. Everyone has contributed. Yuan Koushuan was born at the right moment. Shui Jingli and Situ Qingqing instantly became obedient. Only Xianer can keep these 2 disciples in check. Su Yang secretly breathed a sigh of relief. He was filled with comfort. He looked at Yuan Koushuan, thinking to himself, my Xianer indeed has the demeanor of a true consort. Xianer, you take Beifeng to select weapons. As for Qinger and Jingli, you 2 help Beifeng choose a suitable cave for his cultivation. I will enter seclusion for cultivation to avoid a repeat of what just happened. Su Yang is starting to get emotional. Yuan Koushuan, as you command, master. Shui Jingli, master, take a good rest. Situ Qingqing, master. You need to pay attention to balancing work and rest. Take care of yourself. Liu Beifeng thanks master. After the 4 disciples saluted Su Yang one by one, they left. Those who watched had their own unique styles. The graceful disciples left Su Yang and entered the rear hall, where they retrieved the true dragon Dao fruit. In an instant, the sound of dragon roars shook the entire rear hall. The true dragon Dao nation looked like a real dragon. Its scales shimmered with divine radiance. Treasure light surged, and boundless life energy overflowed, like a roiling sea of clouds, endless and infinite. Truly worthy of being the true dragon Dao nation. Su Yang sighed in admiration. He hesitated no longer. Calm your mind. Begin refining with full force. In a simple disciple's cave of Tianlai Peak. Damn it! How dare they humiliate me like this? Xiao Yi collapsed on the stone bed, covered in wounds. He clenched his fists. His eyes were bloodshot. His anger had nowhere to be vented. Xiao Yi was so furious because after joining Tianlai Feng, he intended to claim the cultivation resources that belonged to him, but was told that his senior brother had taken them. He immediately flew into a rage. As the chosen one, he's always the one taking from others. When has anyone ever taken from him? He immediately asked the steward about the senior brother's location. Then he stormed over aggressively and ended up getting beaten up. Although his combat skills were impressive, he wasn't strong enough to fight off 100. Especially with several Jiedan cultivators watching from the sidelines. Even 2 fists can't take on 4 hands. In the end, he lost. Not only did I lose the resources for cultivation, but my original inheritance cave dwelling was also taken from me. I have no choice. I can only seize an ordinary disciple's cave dwelling. How ridiculous. I am the child of destiny. With the protection of heaven's way, do you really think you can defeat me like this? Delusional. 30 years east of the river, 30 years west of the river. Don't look down on the young and poor. When I break through the core formation stage, the humiliation I suffer today will be repaid 100-fold. The night echoed with savage roars, like a beast gone mad. His face was full of unwillingness and distortion. Old Li in the jade pendant saw the late-night snack scene. In the end, he couldn't bear it. He let out a long sigh. Disciple, do you still not understand? This Qingming sect is your destined place of tribulation. Previously, I insisted that you come here because I didn't expect that there was a hidden force calculating against you. This matter, I owe you an apology. The only way to be saved now is to leave the clear bright sect immediately. Disciple, you must trust your master. As long as you stay away from the clear bright sect, your fortune will become even more extraordinary. Opportunities will come knocking at your door. Your strength will grow at a terrifying speed. By then, when you become a venerable one, come back and flatten this small Qingming sect. Chapter 38, Walking on Thin Ice. 3 days to form a Dan. Thunderbolt picking loopholes in the manor. Shut up. My humiliation today is all your fault. It's all your fault. Late night snacks, the 4 generations found an outlet. All the piled up negative emotions poured out onto old Lee. Lee didn't expect that after just a few setbacks, the originally simple-minded boy would become twisted like this. He doesn't even have a thought of self-reflection, putting all the blame on him. Forget it, it's all gone to waste. Let him be. Dubai needs a new host. Anyway, this jade pendant is made of a special material. Even a respected master can't break it. Stop hiding behind the jade pendant and stay silent. I know you're pretending to be dead. I'll be direct. This Qingming sect, now that I'm here, I won't leave. I, Xiaoye, hate it the most when someone takes what's rightfully mine. Anything I lose, I will personally take back, one by one. Not only that, I want all the opportunities and roles at Xian Peak. If anyone tries to stop me, I will kill them. Even if the heavens stand in my way, then I shall punish the heavens. Ha ha ha. Xiaoye's expression twisted like that of a tormented demon. His mad, violent laughter echoed through the cave. It sounded incredibly oppressive. The eerie sword pendant still showed no reaction. Xiaoye's tone was tinged with sarcasm as he said, "Old Li, are you thinking of switching hosts? If I were to present you to Master Wanjun, how do you think he'd deal with you?" The sound of the midnight snack was like a demon's whisper, threatening Elderly. Elderly, who was prepared to play dead, found himself unable to do so after hearing those words. Because he sensed a trace of demonic energy from that Master Wanjun. Perhaps he was a spy planted by the demon Sui in Qingming, a remnant soul of a powerful figure like him, most favored by those of the demonic path. After all, he can be refined into a soul-recalling banner. Speak, how do you want me to proceed? The voice of Old Li came from the jade pendant. His tone was filled with deep helplessness. Enhance my power. No matter the method. Within 6 months, I want to be the only one to inherit the thunderbolt of the day. Qingchuan shared his conditions for the late-night snack. Old Li sighed softly. I do have a martial arts technique here. It's paired with the burning heaven profound skill. But this martial arts technique is just... Oh, Old Li. I really did take you as my master before. I put in all my effort to find spiritual items to heal your soul. I never expected you to hide them from me. If I hadn't pushed you multiple times, I'm afraid you still wouldn't have handed them over. In your heart, you probably never considered me a disciple, did you? Well, that's fine. Starting from today. From now on, the only thing between us is cooperation. Once I seize this opportunity at Xian Peak, we'll be even, with no debts between us. Now, hand over the martial technique. Xiaoye clenched his teeth. Emotions stirred. Tears uncontrollably welled up in his eyes. In his view, the fire-honored one never sincerely accepted him as a disciple. He has been using him all along. Even a personification has a hint of fire nature, not to mention Li Lao, who once was the supreme honored one. Hearing the midnight snack's desperate accusations, he felt that everything he had done before was in vain. If it weren't for him before, this midnight snack would have already died in the pursuit of enemies. How could anyone have such cultivation now, let alone talk about opportunities? Even Lin Chang's little bird was enlightened by him. This midnight snack is simply a complete ungrateful wolf. It's a pity that at the beginning, he was deceived by its honest appearance. Let go of me, I will pass on my martial skills to you. Old Li doesn't want to say much more. Since this ungrateful wolf wants this martial technique at the cost of weight loss, then let him have it. Xiao Yi immediately let go of his mind. Then, a white light shot out from the jade pendant, rushing into Xiaoye's forehead, connecting to the martial technique fiery lotus of demon fury. Xiaoye's ferocious and terrifying face suddenly showed a look of wild joy. He was completely mad. Sister has mastered this martial art. With this heavenly thunder technique, who can be my opponent? Who else? Li Lao watches coldly from the sidelines. He feels an inexplicable sense of foreboding. His life has been like walking on thin ice. Not counting the countless secrets, he has only made mistakes twice. The first time caused him to lose his physical form. And this time, can he reach the other side? Floating clouds and morning dew. A white horse fleeting by. In the blink of an eye, 3 days have passed. Lei Feng is locked in the cave at midnight. I have become the midnight snack. I opened my eyes. With a flick of his wrist, 2 fiery lotuses appeared out of thin air, burning fiercely in his palms, as if they were otherworldly flames born of the heavens and earth. The scorching heat caused ripples in the surrounding void. After 3 days of arduous cultivation, he had finally mastered the technique fiery lotus of demon fury. His cultivation level also advanced from the 5th tier of the foundation establishment stage to the 6th. In just 3 days, he had ascended a small realm. Even the strongest direct disciples of Qingming couldn't achieve this. He challenged beyond his limits. Xiaoye is ambitious. Although he only advanced by 1 level, his combat power has greatly improved. The liquid mana condensed within him increased by 800 drops. With 3,800 drops of liquid mana, he can challenge a direct disciple at the early Jidan stage. He might even stand a chance against someone at the mid-Jidan stage. Xiao Yi made a decision. This time, he would not only reclaim his own cave, he would also kill everyone who had humiliated him. Just as he was preparing to leave the cave, a gentle voice came from outside. "Disciple, may I come in?" The master of 10,000 armies, Wan Jun, was filled with resentment. That insufferable master. When I was being oppressed and humiliated by those bastards, he was nowhere to be found. But now that my wounds have healed, he decides to show up. Isn't he just trying to get something for nothing? He wants the horse to run, but doesn't want to feed it. How could there be such a cheap deal in this world? He secretly made up his mind that if Master Wan Jun asked him to do something later, he will never agree, unless sufficient benefits are offered to him. "Come in, master." The voice of the midnight snack is weak, lying in bed, pretending to be injured and unhealed. "It's my fault, my disciple. These past few days, I've been busy dealing with the matters accumulated at Tianlei Peak and forgot to remind your senior brothers not to be harsh on you. That's why you were injured, my disciple." As soon as he entered, Master Wan Jun strode over to Xiaoye and sat down in front of him. With an apologetic face, he said, "But don't worry, my disciple. I have already ordered the senior brothers who attacked you to go and meditate on their mistakes at Sigu Cliff for 10 years. I see that your injuries haven't fully healed. The wounds are on your body, but the pain is in my heart." As he spoke, Master Wan Jun took out a jade bottle from his robe. It was placed into the hands of the late-night snack. The elixir inside is called Qingyang Pill. There are a total of 10. Not only can it help heal your injuries, but it can also enhance your cultivation. I hope this can somewhat compensate you. The late-night snack held the jade vial in hand, and the look in their eyes towards Master Wan Jun suddenly changed. A feeling of gratitude grows within. "Thank you for your great kindness, Master. Disciples' injuries have almost fully healed." The Qingyang pill is refined from several rare medicinal herbs of yang nature. It may not be very useful for ordinary cultivators, but for someone with a yang flame battle body, it holds great benefits. It can unlock the potential of the battle body. Enhancing cultivation can be considered a precious elixir. This one Jun Jinwen must have noticed his physique. That's why he specially chose Qingyang Dan to give to him. Such genuine sincerity. This is no cheap master. He is clearly a biological master. Unlike that one in the jade pendant who just makes empty promises. From time to time, the old Li, who would sneak attack his soul power, doesn't know how many times stronger he has to be. It's fine. This Qingyang pill is meant to help you enhance your cultivation. So, are you ready to make a big splash with your master on this thunderstorm day? The true man of 10,000 armies asked with a smile. Of course, disciple is ready to advance to the next level. The 6th level is the golden core stage. Xiaoye confidently sat up in bed. But before he could finish speaking, in the distant sky, an unparalleled wave of terror erupted from Purple Cloud Peak, instantly engulfing the entire Qingming sect, causing countless disciples to stop and gaze into the distance, looking from afar, wanting to know what had happened at Purple Cloud Peak. That could cause such a massive disturbance. At this moment, an elder, unsure and suspicious, said, "It seems like someone is breaking through to the golden core stage. But this surge of formidable magical power feels like nascent soul cultivation. Could it be that Xuejingli from Ziyun Peak, the one with a special constitution, is breaking through?" Instead of making wild guesses, why not set off for Ziyun Peak now and witness the ceremony? See everything with our own eyes, and it'll all become clear. Better forget it. The Peak Master of Ziyun Peak is notoriously difficult to deal with. If anyone dares to step onto Ziyun Peak without permission, the Zixiao sword in his hand will be drawn. Didn't he offer the Zixiao sword to the sect? Yes, it was given to the sect as a reward for the mission to slay Yin Shou and deliver the sword to Mang Jiao. Then it was taken by Ko Xian, the first lieutenant of Ziyun Peak, just passing from one hand to the other. No way, no way. Does anyone really believe that Peak Master Su is selfless? Focus on the sect. Chapter 39, The Extravagant Phenomenon of the True Dragon at Ziyun Peak. Its terrifying and unparalleled aura spread freely, causing massive ripples in the surrounding void. As if thunder had struck a calm lake, the disciples near the burning Ziyun Peak felt an overwhelming suffocation, as if someone had grabbed their heads and forcefully submerged them into a swamp, blocking both mouth and nose. I felt dizzy. Fortunately, Elder Ninging intervened. He neutralized this unconscious pressure. In the next moment, boundless clouds rose up, enveloping the entire Ziyun Peak. Vaguely, it seemed as if a creature, existing only in legend, was being nurtured within. Upon seeing this scene, countless disciples couldn't help but feel astonished. Even the elders of Ninging Jing were visibly shaken. They stared wide-eyed in shock at the dragon soaring freely through the mist. That's a true dragon. How is this possible? Weren't true dragons supposed to have gone extinct in ancient times? My heavens! What has Zeon Peak been up to behind our backs to help you break through to the Jidan realm? I didn't tell you to summon the true dragon. Why do I feel like our entire Qingming sect and Zeon Peak aren't even in the same style? No wonder they've been chosen as the Six Veins champion for 7 consecutive terms. Disciples from all peaks watched the scene above Zeon Peak with fear and envy, both afraid and envious. This included Li Sanchuan, who had just recently joined Tianlei Peak. True dragon. Li Sanchuan looked up in awe. A strange and complex look appeared in his eyes. He felt somewhat empty inside, just like when he questioned his heart at Shenyuan City before. It was as if something important had been lost from him. What are you staring at? Hurry up and feed senior brother Lu's spirit pet. If it starves, let's see if I don't beat you up. A thin young man, as skinny as a bamboo pole, stared at Li Sanchuan with a hostile expression. I'm going right away. Li Sanchuan's tone was humble, his posture lowered to the ground in humility. After speaking, he hurriedly grabbed the wooden bucket full of spiritual resources and rushed toward the place where the spirit insects were. One wrong step, and every step after would be wrong. He thought abandoning Zeon Peak was enough. Choosing Tianlei Peak would allow him to take it easy. But unexpectedly, the atmosphere at Tianlei Peak was even more corrupt than he imagined. At this moment, don't panic. This is not a real dragon. It's merely an illusion. A rich, mature woman's voice echoed from the main peak. It contains a peculiar kind of power that spreads throughout the Qingming sect. It calms all the restless disciples. It is the voice of the sect leader. Wow, the sect leader's voice is really beautiful. If I could hear it every day, even if it meant becoming the sect leader's direct disciple, I would be willing. Taking and eating at the same time. What a shameless person. So you're not a true dragon, just an illusion of a true dragon. You make it sound so easy. According to ancient texts, in the entire northern territory over the past 5,000 years, those who could cause an anomaly upon breaking through the Calamity Core realm all had achievements no less than that of a venerable. That is to say, this disciple of Xianfeng, who is about to break through to the Jidan stage, is qualified to compete with the outstanding talents of past generations. A strict teacher produces exceptional students. Under the guidance of Shuyang Jinjuan, all 7 disciples under him possess the demeanor of respected figures. 8 respected figures in total. This makes my heart race. Can I withdraw my application now? I want to join Zeon Peak. With your skills, you probably haven't even set foot at the base of the mountain. You'll just get kicked out. The crowd's tone was filled with deep envy. They longed for it. They wished they could immediately become disciples of Su Yang. Inside the Thunder Peak's cave, just as Xiaoyu was about to speak arrogantly, his expression froze. He opened his mouth but closed it again. Cautiously, he said, "Disciple, do your best. Give it your all." Old Li in the jade pendant was shocked to hear Xiaoyu being so humble. He was almost startled. This wasn't the Xiaoyu he knew. No matter who you are, get off of Xiaoye. Master Wan Jun felt a bit disappointed, but he showed no emotion on his face. He comforted, as long as you've done your best. As long as you've done your best. Then, after giving Xiaoye a few more instructions, he left. Li Lao, come out. Master Wan Jun. Shortly after leaving, Xiaoye angrily said, "What is it?" Li Lao asked perfunctorily. "That was supposed to be my opportunity, but now it's been taken by someone else, and you ask me what happened?" Xiaoye's voice grew harsher. The fury in his chest was almost about to explode. In the late-night thoughts, I have long regarded everything about Zeon Peak as mine. Though I don't know who achieved the breakthrough, that person must have stolen my opportunity. It is said that when one breaks through, a true dragon phenomenon appears. Such an opportunity is surely against the heavens. If only I could enjoy this opportunity. A true dragon phenomenon will surely appear. At that time, the entire Qingming sect, whether elders or disciples, will look up to him, revere him, and it's even possible that the sect master will be captivated by him. Though only hearing his voice and not seeing him in person, Xiaoye is certain. The sect leader is definitely as much a troublemaker as the 7 characters of Zeon Peak. The spotlight that should have been his was snatched away by someone else. How could Xiaoye not be furious? It's absolutely unbearable. So, with raging fury, he clenched his fist and slammed it fiercely against the cave wall. A painful scream echoes. Xiaoye clutches his bloody, mangled fist. He yells out wildly. His expression is one of extreme pain. His eyes are wide open. He stares at the wall in front of him. He can't believe how hard the wall is. Li Lao, all right then. Nothing has changed. The late-night snack is still the same, self-binding and mindless. This cave abode has protective formations. You should know that the following cultivators can't shake it at all. Elder Li kindly explained. Why didn't you say so earlier? Are you deliberately trying to make me look foolish? Late-night snacks growled in my throat, I said in frustration. Li Lao felt like a fool. Isn't it better to enjoy the show? Why do you have to say more? Go on, tell me about the opportunities at Zeon Peak. How can I obtain them? The fourth generation realized that his earlier words were too harsh. Xiaoye clenched his fist. His expression slightly softened as he asked. Old Li really wanted to say that there's no way to conceal the heavenly secrets. Secretly plotting, there might be a chance to get a hammer. Not dying is already a great blessing for you. But he is afraid that saying this might provoke him. Xiao Yi directly presented the jade pendant to Master Wanjun. I've calculated it. When the 6th Meridian Grand Pen arrives, opportunities will naturally come to you. Old Li can spin lies without even drafting them. After all, being a con artist is his main job. Of course, not everything he says is nonsense, at least according to the hexagrams he saw when he glimpsed the secrets of heaven. The opportunities at Ziyun Peak are already in hand. Well then, I will wait for the 6 meridians. At that time, I will ensure that the little thief who stole my opportunity has no place to be buried. The night watchman's eyes are fierce like knives, radiating an imposing chill. By the lakeside of Tianqin Lake at Ziyun Peak, Shui Jingli was humming a tune. He was happily cultivating in a medicinal bath that could increase his scale. Suddenly, a dragon's roar sounded in his ears. Startled, he nearly stood up from the wooden tub. He stared blankly towards the direction of Ziyun Hall. He exclaimed, Master. Master, you've broken through to the core formation stage. Wow, Master is even faster than me at recultivating. How can I be a slacker like this? No, I absolutely can't be led astray again. Starting today, I need to stop slacking off. Forget it, let's just start tomorrow. After all, there isn't much of the 10th left today. I can't put in a few hours of effort anyway. I might as well relax and enjoy a bit. Shui Jingli did a shallow sit-up. Then I returned to the wooden barrel again, as a koi that can blow bubbles. In the attic of the Peach Blossom Grove, Situ Qingqing was completely buried in the bedding. She was focused on studying the martial arts manual. She hoped that by the next time she sparred with her master, she wouldn't cry and plead for mercy so quickly. At least she could hold on a bit longer. Even if it's just the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. An overwhelming pressure suddenly surged towards Brother Shu. It actually forced Situ Qingqing directly to the ground. This pressure means Master has broken through. This book is now useless. Situ Qingqing bit her red lips and slipped out from under the blanket. Her eyes gazed deeply at the secret manual in her hands. With a hint of helplessness, she set it aside. A touch of camel red on her exquisite cheeks. In the face of absolute power, all skills are just fancy tricks. Chapter 40, Su Yangzhong reads the text, knocking on the door of Xiankong, Feng Xiaoyun, and Yao Yan as an interval. A round button dress in white, she bows her head, holding a brush in her hand, not knowing what she is painting. The blush on her cheeks is tender and dewy, like a graceful flower blooming in the wind. This is how it is described in the book. I don't know if it's accurate. It should be accurate. After all, I've experimented with it. It's a pity that the master is still in seclusion. Otherwise, Yuan Koshwan would have paused while painting. He looked up. There was a unique gleam in Xian's eyes. Master is about to exit seclusion. He held the Zixio in his hand, summoning a breeze 3 feet long. Then, he flew with his sword towards Ziyun Hall. In Ziyun Hall, Su Yang sat cross-legged. A terrifying aura radiated from him, like a cosmic furnace. His eyes were tightly shut, above his head. A crimson dragon, bearing fangs and claws, roaring ferociously. His heart thudded heavily, like the deep resonance of a grand bell. As if an ancient beast was letting out a low growl. The essence of the true dragon's bones was entirely devoured by him. The manifested dragon vision vanished along with it. Within his dantian, tens of thousands of drops of liquid mana could be seen clearly, like ants building a nest. It automatically gathers and compresses, forming a large golden elixir. The elixir spins rapidly. Its violent oscillations create endless ripples, causing the blood and energy flowing through his limbs to surge like boiling rivers, unstoppably washing over the channels. Because the liquid mana he possesses is tens of thousands of units strong, even the greatest talents throughout history who dominated for a lifetime can't compare. Thus, the time required to form the core far exceeds that of an ordinary cultivator. Waves of magical energy ripple through the entire body. If it were an ordinary cultivator, their body would have already cracked by now. It's even possible their dantian would shatter, rendering them a cripple for life. There's great danger in the breakthrough. However, Su Yang possesses the pure Yang Dao physique. Once fully cultivated, his body becomes as hard as divine meteorite iron. Thus, the remnants of lethal magical energy not only caused him no harm, but were completely absorbed by his meridians and flesh. No one knows how long it took. The liquid, crimson gold mana clashed and surged countless times. Gradually, a scarlet gold core formed and radiated outward. In Su Yang's dantian, the condensation becomes more intense, taking orders to enter the city, and his cultivation continues to break through. First layer breakthrough. Second layer breakthrough. Third layer breakthrough. Fourth layer breakthrough. Until the 8th layer breakthrough. There was just now a trend of stopping the breakthrough. The true dragon fruit. Indeed extraordinary. Su Yang opened her eyes. The powerful aura suddenly retracted. Her gaze was calm and undisturbed. At that time, her dantian, one could see a flawless golden elixir radiating a soft red glow, round and smooth. Although the size of the golden elixir is no different from ordinary adornments, its actual power is on a completely different level. Let's put it this way, he can now single-handedly defeat 20 C2 Qingqings. You can also play 10 more round twists easily. As for Shui Jingli assisting in the ninefold attack, it's not that he is arrogant, but rather, under the blessing of the immortal and indestructible golden true dragon Dao Bone of Jiang Dao, every time he advances, even by a small level, his combat power will see an extremely terrifying boost. He is confident that even if he competes with those legendary young emperors from ancient texts, he won't be defeated. Besides that, the Divine Stone has grown many times stronger. If it were really released, not to mention, it should be enough to cover more than half of Qingming's sect. The Foundation Establishment realm is still too weak. I hope to break through to the Ningyin realm within 10 days and return to my former cultivation level within a month. At that time, Su Yangzheng was imagining this, but suddenly, he felt something strange in his body. This strange feeling seemed to be a side effect of devouring the true dragon Dao Bone. As long as I circulate my magic power, the qi and blood in my body start boiling, causing a surge of heat in my chest and abdomen, unconsciously recalling Qinger's tenderness in my mind. Watermelon pushes me. Am I poisoned? I've never heard of any side effects from consuming true dragon rice. This true dragon blood used to irrigate the true dragon rice. It must be from Su Yang. I feel restless all over, like I've taken a powerful tonic. My head feels dizzy. I'm even having hallucinations in my days. Yuan Koxuan quickly arrived at Ziyun Palace. He looked around. He realized there were no other disciples besides him. Immediately putting his mind at ease, he slowly walked into the Ziyun Hall. His master arrived at the door of the rear hall. Yuan Koxian suppressed the shame within. He raised his hand and gently knocked. There was no sound coming from inside the hall. Yuan Koxian immediately sensed that something was wrong. After all, the imagery had disappeared. Logically speaking, masters should have finished their cultivation by now. Master, please don't blame your disciple. Your disciple is also worried about your safety. Yuan Koxuan took a deep breath. She pushed the door open and entered. The scene inside the shop came into view. Tattered pieces of clothing were scattered everywhere. Master sits on the meditation mat, bare-chested. One hand supports his forehead, while the other rubs his eyes, as if trying to see something clearly. Yuan Koxuan quickly steps closer, his tone urgent, his eyes filled with deep concern. Master, did something go wrong with your cultivation? Last time, Master lost control during cultivation and lost all of his cultivation abilities. He had to start all over again. It's because Master has an extraordinary temperament. If an ordinary cultivator suffered such a setback, they would probably have given up already. But if he loses his abilities again this time, he's a bit afraid Master won't be able to handle it. Ah, you're quite strange, Xin'er. Why are you dressed differently? How could I have such an illusion? Shui Yang muttered softly. If it's an illusion, then even in Master's illusion, there's me. Yuan Koxian Xiao revealed a hint of reddish-brown. Her beautiful eyes were filled with shyness. She softly said, Master, my disciple isn't an illusion. It's real. Ha, in my illusion. Shuer can actually talk. Let me take a look. Besides talking, what else is special about you? Su Yang gazed at the apparition of his eldest disciple, dressed in a white dress. I couldn't help but reach out and pinch her delicate cheek. That puppet seemed almost real. Master, now you believe that your disciple is genuine, right? Yuan Koxian blinked. Her expression appeared especially innocent. Su Yang's awareness became a bit clearer. He shook his head. The strange illusions that had been before him disappeared. Only the white dress in front of her remains. A hint of embarrassment flickers in her eyes. She is restless. Disciple. Master just didn't say anything strange, did I? Yuan Koxian shook her head. No, you didn't say anything. Just asked why the disciple is still wearing clothes. Yeah, why are you wearing clothes? You look much better without them. Su Yang suddenly realized something was wrong. He hurriedly forced those thoughts aside. Looking uneasy. Sorry. I consumed a rare heavenly treasure which caused evil poison to enter my body. He started speaking without any filter. He just said whatever was truly on his mind. That's not what I meant. It's just that the more Su Yang explained, the more confused he became. The hallucinations that had disappeared before began to subtly reappear. After all, he'd been a fake master for so many days. He still couldn't fully enjoy having genuine thoughts. It seems the master does have feelings for me. Yuan Koxuan was secretly delighted, but upon hearing that the master had been poisoned by a rare spiritual object, he immediately thought of the dragon blood herb that Liu Beifeng had presented. Could it be that Liu Beifeng was a spy planted by an enemy faction? Such boldness. Though Liu Beifeng is talented, he's still only at the foundation establishment stage. To trade him for a master with a 100% chance of advancing to the venerable stage, that's something any faction would be happy to see. Thinking of this, Yuan Koxuan raised his eyebrows and counted down. His clothes were puffed up with anger. Unable to contain his fury, he was about to draw his sword to find Liu Beifeng. Su Yang could see what his senior apprentice was thinking. He reached out and grabbed his wrist, supporting his forehead and explaining that it wasn't what he thought. Your junior sister is fine. It's the blood of the dragon causing trouble within the corpse. As Su Yang explained, Yuan Kuo-xian understood the differences among the 9 sons of the dragon. As long as it's related to dragons, it usually isn't very serious, and the dragon itself takes this unseriousness to the next level. Master clearly has better treasures in the vault. Why use this dragon serpent evil herb? Yuan Kuo-xian grasped her wrist, feeling the burning heat coming from her palm. Her eyes flickered uncertainly. What heavenly treasure can compare to a 10,000-year-old true dragon fruit? Su Yang tried to divert his attention, avoiding the illusion before him. After all, it's your junior sister Lu's heartfelt gesture. If this dragon blood herb is a gift from you, I will certainly take it. Master, you are unwavering in your loyalty to Chapter 41, Pure Rouge. What's wrong with me? Su Yang's reaction was somewhat slow. He looked down in confusion. How did this Schwer end up in my arms? Su Yang was suddenly startled. Quickly let go. Schwer didn't mean to, Master. I was just affected. It's all right. As your disciple, I should be considerate of you, Master. Yuan Kuo-xian didn't pull away from Su Yang's embrace. She lightly bit her lip. Her eyelashes trembled like a feathered fan. So as long as I can cure Master's poison, Schwer will do anything. Su Yang carefully examined the stunning face nestled in Qi's arms. Her brows were drawn. It was clear she had dressed up meticulously, especially the touch of rouge on her lips, glistening with a moist sheen, like a cherry with morning dew. It made his throat tighten. Disciple, what is your lip rouge made of? It smells so nice. It's my secret recipe. It's made from various forest petals. Not only does it smell good, you can also eat it. His face reddened as he tilted it up. The cheeks are deep in color, concealing any detectable shyness quite well. Does Master want to give it a try? Su Yang saw that his senior disciple was so bold, taking charge on his own. How could Master back down? He lowered his head and prepared to taste the rouge, but before touching that softness, it was stopped by a slender jade finger. Su Yang frowned slightly. Your master didn't teach you to do it like that, but like this. A flash of brilliance crossed Yuan Kuo-xian's eyes. He gently kissed his own finger. So, did you taste it? What can you even taste? Although the smell of fingers is quite pleasant. Su Yang's expression was serious. He nodded and said it's not bad. It really is pleasant. It's not good for the master to lie. It will lead the disciple astray. Clearly, you haven't tasted anything at all. Yuan Kuo's dark eyes stared intently at Su Yang. His eldest disciple was teasing him. Su Yang realized this belatedly. Before he could say anything, he noticed the jade finger blocking his lips was withdrawn. Out of habit, his rosy lips pressed heavily again.